Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park, just outside Birmingham, Alabama. I'm Bob Jenkins, and we're about 45 minutes away from the start of today's Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Horizon, and we'll get you ready for today's 214-mile race. 2 weeks ago, defending series champion Dario Franchitti picked up where he left off, winning the season opener in St. Petersburg, getting by last season's road course champion Will Power. Tony Kanaan had a third-place finish in his first race with a new team, just ahead of Simona Di Silvestro, who had a career-high fourth-place finish. But Florida wasn't the Sunshine State for all who visited. Last year's Barber winner was one of several drivers who looked to put the season opener behind them.
Time to go racing in 2011.
Will Power the front. Dixon looks to the inside, and Marco Andretti goes over the top. Andretti is on his lid. There are 5 cars did not make it through.
We go back to green flag racing. Power is going to grab the lead as they head to turn number 1 and into 2.
Dario and Kanaan both get by him.
Dario Franchitti is the early leader. Give the Scotsman the 27th win of his career.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Dario, he picks up right where he left off after winning the championship last year. Is this a sign of things to come?
And so the two drivers who battled to the championship at the final race last year at Homestead Miami Speedway, Dario Franchitti and Will Power, finished first and second in the opener this year in St. Petersburg. Dario wins round number 1, and he is standing by on our Versus Pit Road set with Kevin Lee.
Thank you, Bob. Let's start with that, Dario, as you bask in the glory of a win to try to defend your championship and the rivalry with Team Penske. These two teams have battled for championships for the last several years. What kind of rivalry is there?
Well, it's a strong rivalry. It's a friendly one too, but we want to beat those guys, and they definitely want to beat us badly. And we continue to push each other to each week. And some weeks we have the advantage, some weeks it's those guys. So it's ongoing. And as you saw with the pass, that's actually the first time I've seen the pass. It gets close on occasion.
In Formula One, the biggest rival is your teammate. Scott Dixon has been one of the toughest guys to beat. What's that relationship like?
Yeah, Scott is absolutely very tough to beat, but we've managed to do it in a way that, same with when I was teammates with Tony Kanaan, Brian Herta, Marco, Dan, those guys, we managed to do it in a friendly way. I know he wants to beat me. He knows I want to beat him, but we work very well together. We're friends away from the track, but we keep that competition on the track, and that's I think sometimes people misunderstand that. They misunderstand that we are so fiercely competitive because we're friendly away from the track.
We love you because of your skill, but also your candidness. Double file restarts. Now, you were able to stay out in front of it, but what did you think? What adjustments need to be made? And there already have been some made.
Yeah. I mean, it was great for me. I took the lead of the race with the help of the double file restarts, but I was still very upset. I thought ultimately it came down to there's some of the drivers out there made bad decisions, and they made us look stupid as a series, and it wasn't the way we like to do things. So we've modified it a little bit today, but if I've made as many mistakes as the next guy, but unless we kind of just come back a little bit and a bit less aggression at the start. When I say less aggression, I'm not for a minute saying you don't try a move that's on, but you don't just try a move that has no chance of coming off, which is what was tried last week, also on the start, but also on some of the restarts. Simona's move on the restart when she pushed Justin on the grass and then T-Bone Will was just crazy.
Thanks for coming up here. Stay cool today.
Thank you. Can I just say one thing? Got to say hi to my friends Mickey and Brady out there in Colorado, and the birth of young Sean Michael Ryan. That was a nice addition to our team this week.
Very nice. Have a good race.
Thank you.
Dario Franchitti will start 7th, and with his win at St. Pete, Dario has now won at 22 different tracks, second only to Mario Andretti, who won at 26 venues with his 52 career wins. Including Barber Motorsports Park, there are 9 tracks where Dario has yet to record a victory. One driver who can cross Barber Motorsports Park off his victory list, Helio Castroneves, who captured the inaugural IndyCar event here last year. And he's standing by with Lindy.
And he needs another good weekend, Kevin. Race 1, lap 1, turn 1, and you're done. Have you all talked about the fact that you cannot afford for that to happen today?
Yeah, well, actually talk about it. It was kind of like one of those different strategy, not a strategy, because we didn't know what's going to happen. There was so slow start, and but unfortunately we all figured out what happened. Unfortunately I break a little too deep, and end up causing a lot of mess. Apologize to everyone, but well, for here, we start in the front, so that's a good news. The AAA insurance car seems to be in a good shape, and now we just need to be right there with Will and Ryan.
Do you feel any advantage being the defending winner?
Not really. It changed so much, the tracks, the weather, you know, tires changed a little bit, so I wish we have some advantage, but actually everybody probably are looking what happened last year to do the same thing what's going to happen this year. So hopefully we're going to have something else, then we can beat everybody again.
We'll see what happens. Elio starting 4th, Marty Snyder with the driver starting 3rd.
And that would be Scott Dixon, who does get to start up front, but this is such a narrow track, Scott. For you, how big of a key is patience going to be today?
I think it's always key, and we saw the lack of it obviously at the first race in St. Pete, and that definitely ruined our day for Team Target. But you know, here I think the start's going to be a lot different, a lot more flow to it. You know, it's a 4th gear corner, but it's going to be one of those days where you got to save a bit of fuel and try and monitor what the other guys are doing. You know, and as we were talking before, it's not obviously the way you want to always race, but 9 times out of 10 is probably what will get you that victory.
Finished 16th at St. Pete. That puts you in a little precarious position with the points. So how does that change your approach to today's race?
I don't know what I've done to St. Pete.
It has not been kind to you, my friend.
I know. The last 4 years, I don't think I've finished. So, you know, it would be nice to, you know, hopefully get onto a bit of a roll. This is where we're going to have to start our season. Last week was, or 2 weeks ago, was definitely not the way that we wanted to start. I was trying to be cautious. I was trying to stay out of everything. And, you know, you have a car go over the top of you, which you can't help. So, but definitely looking to turn it around this weekend, get some good valuable points, and, you know, try and start our campaign now.
Usually not good when a car goes over the lid, right?
That's pretty bad. From every time I've seen it, it's pretty bad. Just ask Marco, maybe.
All right, the Ganassi team won the Grand Am race yesterday. Scott Dixon trying to make it the weekend sweep, Kevin.
Thank you, Marty. In his first event with KV Racing Technology, Tony Kanaan recorded a podium finish just ahead of Simona Di Silvestro 2 weeks ago, who recorded a career-high 4th. We'll hear from them when IndyCar Central, presented by Verizon, returns.
I'm from Switzerland, and racing is banned in Switzerland since the 1950s. There was a big crash in Le Mans where a car actually crashed into the grandstand, and Switzerland banned racing. So it's kind of weird to be a race car driver from Switzerland, so you have to go around to Italy and France to race. And you know, I was lucky that my dad and my mom allowed me to do that, and we would pack up the minivan, put my go-kart in, and we would go drive in Italy mostly. Got the opportunity to come to the US and went into the Atlantic Series, won a couple of races, and then got the opportunity to do a test in the IndyCar Series, and here I am in the greatest open wheel series in North America. So I think it was a good path, and I'm really lucky to be here. Being a female race car driver, it's still pretty new, and coming from Europe, not many series have had female race car drivers over there. Here in IndyCars, there has been a few, you know, Danica has done an unbelievable job for us. We're a couple of girls racing here this year. I think we have to show that we can run up front during the whole season, and I think I'm going to do that.
Such an impressive race for this young lady who finished 4th at St. Pete. And what does a race do that for you confidence-wise as a young driver?
Well, it definitely gave a lot of confidence. You know, finishing 4th in the first race, it was pretty unbelievable, especially after starting 17th, you know, and that was great. And I really have to thank everybody at HVM and Entergy and Nuclear Clean Air Energy to give me the opportunity to race here in the ISO IndyCar Series this year.
I'm not great with math, but you went from 17th to 4th, so today 13th, that would put you in 1st at the end of the race. Can you do it with the car you have today?
I don't know, you know, it was okay this morning, but we still have a little bit of work ahead of us. It's a little tougher to pass here, so we'll see what we have, but definitely, you know, I'm going to try all to get to the front for sure.
And don't forget, here last year she was in the top 5 until a late spin in the race. Lindy?
Tony Kanaan starting 24th, so will you gamble on pit strategy today?
We'll try. We'll definitely try. We're going to start on the blacks and see what we're going to do. It's a tough track to pass, but we'll see if we can do something better.
You've been visibly upset all weekend about the performance of the car. Where do you think you're at now?
I don't know. I think I have a top 15 car, but it's a long race.
We'll see how you do. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
We'll let you get into your intro. Kevin?
Starting 26.
Well, unhappy drivers were plentiful last week or 2 weeks ago. Marco Andretti, Mike Conway. Coming up, Robin Miller will join us to discuss St. Pete and more. IndyCar Central presented by Verizon. This year we celebrate the centennial year of the Indianapolis 500, and of course you cannot do that without honoring the first four-time winner, A.J. Foyt. Can you believe it was 50 years ago when Foyt won his first 500 in 1961? Of course, he's one of only three, including Al Unser Sr. and Rick Mears, to win at Indy 4 times. A.J. also celebrated victory there as an owner in 1999, and won with Kenny Breck. And it's good to have A.J. back at the track with us after missing St. Pete to have a procedure done on his heart. Welcome back, A.J. And back here at Barber Motorsports Park, where fans are enjoying the Izod Fan Zone. Racing fans have been gathering there all weekend, taking part in a variety of activities and probably talking about the chaos that took place 2 weeks ago in St. Pete's.
It's a brand new season of IndyCar. 2011 is here, and we are racing as the green flag flies, and Marco Andretti goes over the top of Dixon and flips upside down.
That's what happens, you know, we try to start so close together. It's great for the fans, but no good for me today.
You run a good race, you run a third, fourth, and you got to go put yourself on the outside with a bunch of...
Well, there's side-by-side racing, and there's going inside the IndyCar series with Robin Miller. Let's first talk about St. Pete. What did you think about what we saw?
Kevin, what we saw was what we always see in Florida, a first lap crash in the first turn. And Scott Dixon, bless his heart, put it in perspective. He said, it's not the restarts, it's not two abreast, it's not how fast we accelerate, it's the idiots behind the wheel. My team, you know, the guys I race with. And he said, you know, we got a steering wheel, we got a throttle, we got a brake. Use our heads. It's the first race of 18 races this year. So I think the most important thing to remember is there's all this knee-jerk reaction. Oh, we got to get rid of double file restarts. It's always been double file It's always been double file starts in IndyCar racing. Nothing's new about that.
Is it serving its purpose, though? Is it more entertaining for fans?
Absolutely. I've not seen fans stand up at a street course race and cheer every time there was a restart until I saw it 2 weeks ago in St. Pete. It just doesn't happen because it's usually follow the leader. The guy that's leading the race takes off 300 yards before he's ever supposed to, and he's got such a massive lead you can't ever get near him. And this is what you better pay attention. You want people to watch this stuff, so make it more exciting and take a chance and don't abandon it. Stick with it.
One of the great things about the format that we have is we have time to do some things, to go off script a little bit, and we're pretty certain with Robin there's never going to be a script. One of those features is inside the helmet. We've got the names and pictures of every driver in IndyCar in here. We have not rehearsed this. Robin doesn't know what we're doing. We're going to pick a name, and he's going to just give some random thoughts on who we have. Here we go with Vitor Meira.
Vitor Meira says, let's get to Indianapolis, kids. I'm sick of road racing. AJ knows ovals. I know ovals. I've almost won 4 or 5 of them. I'm tired of road racing and street racing.
Next up, we have Sebastian Saavedra.
Sebastian Saavedra, very impressive guy last year. He's driving for one of the small buck teams in the series. He needs to finish a race, get to the end, get a little experience, and have some fun.
Mike Conway.
Mike Conway doesn't say a lot. Nobody really knew if he was much of a race driver until he jumped in Andretti this year. He was one of the fastest guys at St. Pete. He got caught up in a first lap crash. He struggled here this weekend, but he might end up being the #1 guy at that team before the season's over.
All right, thank you. We'll hear more from Robin coming up during the race. For more on what people are saying about this season so far, let's get down to the IndyCar Izod Performance Center with Lindy Thaxton.
If you are on Twitter, you know that drivers go back and forth and talk about a lot of things. And after St. Pete, that was no different. We want to show you some of what a few of them said. We want to start with Simona. You remember her and Tony were battling there at the end for 3rd place. Simona said, LOL, thanks, you too. It was a lot of fun, because TK had sent her a message that said, great job, girl. Next time, take it easy on the old guy here. And then Ryan Briscoe says, wow, watching replays of the first corner accident yesterday, don't know what the guys behind me were thinking. Really frustrating. Ryan Briscoe's teammate Will Power trying this year to win that title that he could not capture last year. Coming up, you will hear Will talk about that frustrating end to his season.
They have thrown down the early gauntlet as the team to beat in 2010 by winning the Sao Paulo Indy 300.
Will Power, he will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories as the Twin Checkers wave.
Nice job, Mr. Power, nice job.
It looks like the win goes to Power. with his 4th win of the season. The twin checkers will wave. Will Power is the winner on the streets of Toronto. The win goes to Will Power as he's back in victory lane.
Good job, Will. Good job, boys.
And what a season Will Power had in 2010, winning the Mario Andretti Trophy as the series' top road and street racer. In fact, in 2 seasons with Team Penske, Power has 6 wins and has started on the front row 13 times. Will Power finished second to Dario Franchitti last year by only 5 championship points. But for all his success in 2010, Power will also be remembered for squandering a 59-point lead over the final 4 races and recording his only DNF in the last race of the season. The target is back on his Ganassi rivals, Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon, with a championship even more so in Will Power's sights.
2010 was a season where I was somewhat learning on the ovals and, you know, obviously very strong on the road courses.
He will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories, the Aussie Will Power.
A really good season. I can't remember, you know, the last time we won that many races with one guy, and, you know, so I don't think you can be disappointed by any means.
The thing that you remember, though, is you remember who won the Indianapolis 500, and you remember who won the championship. Those are the things that you remember.
Power falls even further behind. It's a problem for our championship leader. He slapped the wall. It is damaged. The right rear does definitely have damage. Will Power is going to lose the championship here tonight.
I moved from Indy to Charlotte this year. You know, I'm happy with my situation. This is where I come every morning, 8:30, meet with the Penske trainer. You know, we used to do an hour-and-a-half workout, and then I'll go down, maybe spend some time with my engineer or go home.
He comes in here daily, works out daily with the same group that trains our pit crew, that trains our NASCAR crews as well as our IndyCar crews, and he's a connected piece to the team.
I think just living down here near the team and with the weather, it's just a better environment to train in.
This year there should be a calmness about him that maybe didn't exist last year.
We all gel better, we all know each other better, and it's just seemed to flow a little bit easier this year. They have all the resources, they have, you know, all the people, and won a number of championships, so it's expected.
We can't afford to leave anything on the table at these races where, you know, he's proved he can dominate.
To beat the Ganassi guys is going to be as tough as it was in 2010.
I think the competition will catch up to us. If we can have the statistics that we had in 2010, I promise you the results will be different. We just need to execute. Before he thought he could do it, now he knows he can do it. Coming into Barber, he knows that he can be competitive at those tracks. He doesn't just hope or think, he knows.
I would be satisfied if I won the championship, no question. I wouldn't be satisfied with second again, no way.
I talked to Will Power just moments ago, and he told me, you know, losing the championship last year made me more motivated for this year. He said, I realize at the road and street courses, I have to gain max points. I have to put as much distance as I can between me and the rest of the field. And he's pretty good at these places too, Kevin. This is his 5th straight pole at a road course, and in that span, he has yet to finish worse than second. I would say Will Power is going to be a factor today.
Certainly, and with his pole run yesterday, Marty, Power trails Franchitti by 10 points. And it may be a little early to focus on points, but consider this. 9 different teams are represented in the top 10. Only KV Lotus has 2 drivers among the top 10. Verizon driver Will Power hopes to make his own highlight video today. When today's race is over, fans can catch the Verizon race recap on their Verizon mobile phones. Coming off her 12th place finish in St. Pete, Danica Patrick hopes to move up through the field today. She'll start 22nd. This is IndyCar Central presented by Verizon. Moments ago, there's our champion from last year, Dario Franchitti, part of the show here for the IZOD IndyCar Series, greeting fans at Barber Motorsports Park. And we are nearly ready to go racing from the IZOD IndyCar Series. Thank you so much for joining us today on IndyCar Central presented by Versus. Now let's go upstairs with the 3 gentlemen that'll call our race today. Wally Dallenbach Jr., Jan Beekes, and Bob Jenkins.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, Jan joins me for the 3rd year, and Our new voice and face in the booth is Wally Dallenbach Jr., who has driven all kinds of race cars, including Indy cars, and we're certainly glad to have him with us. This is the second race of the year, the first for Versus. But boy, many of the drivers that we consider championship contenders, I guess they consider this also their first race, Wally.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look back what happened at St. Pete, we had a lot of contenders knocked out in a first lap, first turn crash. You've got guys like Elio Castroneves, or Marco gets on his head, Danica got a piece of it, Dixon, Briscoe. This was an awful start of the season. You got another replay coming up here. This is on board of Ryan Briscoe. So, actually, yes, you're right, Bob. These guys are coming in this week. This is a clean sheet of paper. They got to get some results. Good thing about this, Castroneves, Dixon, and Briscoe, they're all starting in good spots. And I guarantee you, when they go down to turn one and take the green flag today, they're going to be a little bit more careful than they were last week.
And Wally, I think that you could certainly say, as we've been talking to drivers this weekend leading up to this race, there's been a theme, and that is tough to pass, track position. So when you look at a guy like Will Power, who again has been dominant, you say, well, he's just going to be off to the races. Well, he did that last year, but he says, in his words, they made an emotional decision to pit. They did under yellow at the wrong time, blew the race for them. They won't make that mistake, but you can't just give it to Power. Think about Dario Franchitti. Yes, he didn't make the Firestone Fast 6, but they're best on race day. And when you look at strategy, Chip Ganassi is the one who makes the call for Dario, so don't count them out. Then let's go back to 24 spot. Tony Kanaan, who gave you the ride in Wally's world. He's decided,
it was a great ride, too.
And he decided, hey, obviously, the setup is not working for me. I'm going to take my teammate's setup. He now has Takuma Sato's setup. So 24th, Tony Kanaan, not in for the win, but I think we'll have some excitement.
And a very challenging racetrack, too. 17 turns, little over 2 miles in length, but just a couple of passing opportunities, so you know that we're going to see a lot of action out there.
Yeah, you really are. You're going to almost have to force the issue on some of these corners, and I think guys will take it, take it easy. But once we start getting into these pit stops, you're going to have to start taking some chances to make the passes because it is tight. It's a very busy racetrack.
One of the most picturesque, however, racetracks that we will visit during the 2011 series were located in Leeds, Alabama, which is just outside of Birmingham. A very well-cultured track, if you will. A lot of beautiful places to visit around the course itself. All right, well, let's go down for the opening ceremonies and get the start of today's race underway.
2 weeks ago, the road to glory started in St. Petersburg, Florida for the drivers of the IZOD IndyCar Series. Like so many previous journeys before, soon after the green flag fell, rivalries became renewed.
And Marco Andretti goes over the top of Dixon and flips upside down.
With drivers fighting side by side, a hero emerged by finding the shortest path to victory.
27th win of his career. Dario back in victory lane.
Last year, it was Will Power who dominated early. But Dario Franchitti won the championship and is picking up where he left off. The rivalry continues, but Will Power must match him today to stay even. For this to happen, he cannot do it alone. It's a team effort in a battle of Penske versus Ganassi. With decades of history, generations of heroes, and a season in which the greatest spectacle in sports celebrates its centennial, every event is not just a race, but a turn in the road to glory.
Race number 2 of the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series is about to unfold in the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama from Barber Motorsports Park in Leeds, Alabama, outside of Birmingham. A great aerial shot as we tell you that the weather here could not be better. They were predicting possible record highs in the upper 80s this afternoon, but right now it's a relatively comfortable 82 degrees with 51% humidity and a slight breeze from the south. Nothing but sunny skies, just slight clouds dotting the blue skies. Great crowd on hand, and they are ready to go. seated on the hillsides and in the grandstand beyond where we are here on the main straightaway. 26 cars and drivers, one more than 2 weeks ago at the season opener in St. Petersburg, Florida. The drivers will go 90 laps, 214 miles on this 2.3-mile road course, which includes 17 turns. It is a very challenging racetrack for these drivers. It's the second time that this series has been here. We were here last year in a race that was won by Helio Castroneves.
The spectator areas that you saw there, Bob, are just awesome. They get such a great view. To look across the track, they're angled. The whole thing has been done just in a fantastic, and it's fully landscaped. I don't think there's a spot around the track that hasn't been attended to.
And also a great thing about it, they added a bunch of those jumbotrons around for the fans, so they get to see a lot more action.
When you're seated there on the hillside, you can actually have a good visibility of a great portion of the racetrack. It kind of weaves back and forth. But let's talk more about this racetrack, Jan.
First of all, it's in this beautiful 240-acre facility. You end up with a 2.3-mile road course, obviously, but you have 80 feet of elevation. There in turn 5, highlighted in red, definitely is the best place to pass. And when you're seeing things like 5A, B, and C, you're seeing letter designations. IndyCar this year has decided to drop the letters and go with the full 17-turn format. So the final 2 turns, you'll hear us say, turn 16 and 17, and definitely a busy racetrack for these drivers.
Here's a top 5 comparison. 2010 to St. Pete, Franchitti holds first and Power second. Scott Dixon was one of those involved in the first lap mayhem and finished 16th at St. Petersburg. Helio Castroneves finished 4th in the points last year and finished 20th 2 weeks ago. And Ryan Briscoe 5th in the points, 18th in the final rundown at St. Petersburg. There is Will Power winning his 2nd consecutive pole position for this season and the 2nd consecutive at Barber Motorsports Park. Will Power with now alone in the cockpit with his thoughts.
Yeah, I have to check with Marty on this, but I believe they had a slight gearbox issue this morning, and I know that they were in the gearbox. I don't know if they changed the whole gearbox or not. But Marty, they did have some problems with that. Did they wind up changing the whole gearbox? I think it was a 2nd to 3rd shift that they were having a problem with, Marty.
Yeah, well, what happened was when Will went from 2nd to 3rd in warm-up this morning, it went from 2nd to 4th, so they were a little concerned about that. So they did indeed change the gearbox before they went through tech, just to make sure that everything was good, just to be safe and make sure everything went well in the race today.
That still weighs on a driver's mind. I mean, still, yeah, I don't care if you change anything. You change the mirror on your car, you're worried about it, especially when you're as fast as he's been this weekend.
There's Alex Tagliani, whose car ownership changed over the winter. That car that he is driving, which is really the same team as last year, is now owned by Sam Schmidt Motorsports. Now let's go down for the command to start engines to get us rolling here in Birmingham.
Alabama race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Rick Burgess and Bill Bubba Bussey from the Rick and Bubba Show as they give the command.
Ladies and gentlemen,
y'all start your engines.
Let me hear you.
A lot of new colors that you will have to become familiar with. We'll guide you through it here this afternoon. Well, there's Honda's fastest seat in motorsports, the sweepstakes winner. Very popular decision. You'll have 6 chances to win, so log on to shophonda.com to enter. Now, this week's lucky winner is Deborah Dambra from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And by logging on to shophonda.com, Deborah won the opportunity to start today's race in the IZOD two-seater driven by Al Unser Jr.
Yes, it's worth noting that Deborah's not actually driving, so the graphic is, just in case you were wondering, that's a heck of a prize if you actually get to drive the two-seater.
Deborah getting, I'm sure, a thrill of a lifetime. Deborah, can you hear me? So what do you think as you're pacing the field for the start of this race with Al Unser Jr. sitting in front of you?
This really proves it is the fastest seat in sports. Thank you, Honda, and thank you, IZOD, for this chance of a lifetime. Thank you so much.
Well, Deborah, thank you for being a fan of the IZOD IndyCar Series, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy the ride here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the IZOD IndyCar season.
Thank you so much.
Now the field begins to form up behind the pace car. Yesterday, Will Power once again won his second straight Peak Pole Award. It was the 18th of his career. His speed was 115.878 miles an hour, and that pole, his 18th of his career, moved him to 13th on the all-time pole list. Congratulations to Will Power, who will once again be setting the pace for today's event. And we have an onboard camera with him and several others that we will run through. But meanwhile, let's take a look at the starting lineup as we get set for the start of today's race. Ryan Briscoe will start alongside Will Power in row number 1. In the second row, Scott Dixon and last year's winner, Helio Castroneves. In row number 3, Justin Wilson and Oriol Servia.
Yeah, and don't forget, Justin Wilson's got a hairline fracture in his left wrist that he got at the St. Pete wreck. And I'll tell you what, that's going to be tough here, Jan. I mean, Jan did a great job on his Professor B on what happens when you take a shot in one of these Indy cars. And I'll tell you what, he's going to be hurting after today, I believe.
Row number 4, Dario Franchitti and James Hinchcliffe.
And James Hinchcliffe, as a rookie, not just a rookie, but doing his very first IndyCar race, gridded next to Franchitti. He is turning some heads here for sure.
Starting 9th and 10th, Marco Andretti and Graham Rahal, who is with a new team this year. Takuma Sato and Alex Tagliani starting in 11th and 12th position for today's race. And back in row number 7, the gal who impressed us all at St. Petersburg, Simona Di Silvestro and Rafael Matos. And as we look at the rest of the starting lineup, there are 5 rookies in today's field. 2 of them are making their very first start in IZOD IndyCar Series competition, James Hinchcliffe and Simone Pagenaud, although Pagenaud has an extensive record in open wheel racing. Look at Tony Kanaan, who is starting back in the 24th position, and a couple of rookies back in the final row in today's event. Tony Kanaan will be starting in 24th position, and we will be watching him move forward from his onboard camera. Carrying car number 82, we'll talk more about that as we move forward. J.R. Hildebrand starting 15th. And he drives for Panther Racing this year, and the car is sponsored by the National Guard. Simona Di Silvestro, can she duplicate the performance that she turned in 2 weeks ago at St. Petersburg, finishing in 4th position? Dario Franchitti, all the way back in 7th position, missing the Firestone Fast 6 in his qualifying yesterday. And notice his colors are blue. You normally see him in red Target, but not this week. Clorox, the sponsor, blew the colors. Ryan Briscoe, one of those involved in the first lap crash at St. Petersburg, will be on the outside of row number 1. And Will Power, who started on the pole here last year, finished in 4th position, will start on pole again.
So much of this race can often come down to fuel strategy. Here's your baseline. 3 pit windows. I have a feeling, look at the very bottom there, need 31 laps for a 2-stop race. I think a lot of people in these warm temperatures will try that today.
Although the season started 2 weeks ago, many of us have been waiting for this moment through a long, cold, and icy winter in the state of Indiana. We thought it would never end. The heart now is pounding just a little bit faster. How will the start be here at St. Petersburg? Here at Barber, will it be a repeat of St. Petersburg? Settle back with us. Welcome to the IZOD IndyCar Series on Versus as the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama is underway. Graham Rahal gets the left side tire, right side tires off the course slightly, but everybody is through okay.
Very clean start. Very nice job. And we got trouble just as we were talking. It looks like
and it's a
Hinchcliffe.
One of the rookies, James Hinchcliffe, moving up from the Firestone Indy Light Series, spins, doesn't stop. We stay green everywhere.
Oh, got more trouble. Looks like we have another car spinning. Right in front, yeah, that was right in front of Hildebrand.
Rafael Matos, who is off course up against the guardrail as the Holmatro safety team arrives on scene, and we do have a full course caution.
So they got through turn 1 and 2 cleanly, but as things filed out, things got a little bit rougher.
As you mentioned, J.R. Hildebrand was involved in some way in this, but appears to, yes, he's back under power as Hildebrand. Not the case for Rafael Matos. Brand new team.
Yeah, Gary Peterson, who for a long time was aligned with Andretti Autosport in the Firestone Indy Light Series. This year, Gary Peterson has brought his team to the IZOD IndyCar Series, and his company is AFS, Automatic Fire Spinners.
On board with Simone de Silvestro, and wow, that was the Hinchcliffe. That was Hinchcliffe turning it around quickly. Wow.
And now this is J.R. Hildebrand. That's Matos to his right. This is where the problem will occur. Watch closely. Oh, a bang of wheels. Wow. But it looks like that Rafa Matos will get back underway. There he is. So
got a lot of damage on that left side pod. I saw a pretty big rip there. Right down there.
Yep.
That's going to have to be repaired.
Good eyes. We're on lap number 2, but we are under caution here at Barber Motorsports Park. It is Power, Castroneves, Dixon, Serbia among the top 5. Back in with more in a moment. Under caution here at Barber Motorsports Park. Early on in the race, everybody threw 1 and 2 cleanly, but we had a couple of incidents. And one of the guys who certainly made up some ground in the early going of the race was this guy, Tony Kanaan, picking up 10 spots before we went to the full course caution.
Wow, he picked up 4 right there, just going into turn 1. They get kind of bottled up on the right-hand side.
Oh, 3 wide there.
Boy, that's nice stuff right there. That's great.
And that's a teammate.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. There's EJB.
There goes Hinchcliffe.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll watch for more of that perhaps as the green flag is just about to come out. Johnny Rutherford driving the pace car, and it leaves the racetrack at pit entrance right there. So the cars now begin their 2 abreast formation. That's the new rule this year in IZOD IndyCar competition. This is our first restart of the day. Man, did they look nice coming down for the restart.
Yeah, and they play a little bit nicer. You got teammates on the first 2 rows, so they gave each other plenty of room.
Castroneves.
Yeah.
Oh, and a car has spun back there. That is the 18 car.
Turn 1, center track.
James Jakes, one of the rookies in the series this year, and it appears as if the car has stalled, and there is a local yellow at that particular part of the racetrack right now. But if he can't get going, they will have to bring out a full course caution to get it going. Look at the racing note that's going on.
It's busy here, and this is almost the best opportunity to try to make some spots up is right after a restart. Guys are bottled up. This is where they try to really make something happen. Boy, Powers, he's on it.
Yep. He's pulled away a little bit from Ryan Briscoe. Dixon third, on board with Dario Franchitti, who is running in 5th position. Top of your screen, you'll see the ticker going by. Franchitti 2.090 seconds behind.
Ariel Serbia just ahead.
Local yellow, driver's right.
And a local yellow down there. These guys are telling the drivers if somebody spun out in turn 1 to be careful.
Car's still there, but again, the Homothra safety team is there to give him the restart. So local only in that particular portion of the racetrack. That's Serbia up ahead of Dario Franchitti. Behind him is Justin Wilson.
Again, new colors. Those are the charter colors for Wilson, the Clorox colors for Franchitti. There's quite a few of these cars. Again, second in the shot there. We're not used to seeing Ryan Briscoe in those Penske truck rental colors. So same with Castro Neves, red, white, and blue for him. So through the race, we have to keep reminding each other that certainly, and that's going to be a theme this year, in that there's going to be sponsor changes throughout the season. They were announced early on that they'll shift these cars as the season goes on.
And there is Saavedra. Saavedra, again another graduate, the Firestone Indy Light Series, and Saavedra moves up to 19th position.
And he had told, Wally and I talked to him just before the start of the race, he said, my strategy is to stay clean, stay out of trouble. So what does he do? Picks up 6 spots, boom.
That is Danica Patrick right behind him, and Charlie Kimball behind Danica Patrick. Danica, of course, in the green. Charlie Kimball in an orange, white, and green car this year. And this is Charlie's first race, rather first year in the Eyes on IndyCar series, up from the Firestone Indy Lights. And he is the first licensed driver in this series who has diabetes. And during the entire race, his blood sugar is monitored. And if he is low on blood sugar, he can take a drink from his bottle. And it's really incredible to see that a driver who has type 1 diabetes in the race car.
And we had a change of position as we were talking about that, Bob. Turn 5, still the hot place to pass. Excellent, because we had predictions that you couldn't get it done, and we're seeing it getting done in turn 5. That's great news.
This is the 12th consecutive race on a road course that Will Power has led, going back to Edmonton in 2009. His advantage over Ryan Briscoe in yellow and white, very, very small, about 5 or 6 car lengths. We mentioned that Elio Castroneves got off course.
Oh, he got help from behind Wally.
I don't know if he did or not on that. It was awfully close, but I know these guys have really been complaining about the cars twitching under braking, especially when the tires are not up to temperature.
And Castroneves has now fallen back into 9th position, about 0.6 of a second.
Elio Castroneves wasn't real sure what kind of race car he was going to have. They were great here at the test a few weeks ago, and his 2 teammates still have a good setup, but his didn't work. Everything changed. They changed it before the morning warm-up. After the warm-up, he said they would change again, so they were coming in a little bit blind.
And to follow up on that, the reason he has to run a different setup is that Will Power, you know, last year was a left-foot braker. Ryan Briscoe has now changed to left-foot braking, but Castroneves has not. So he cannot run the same setup. So he says, right now, I'm kind of the odd man out, and I think I'm going to have to by next season.
Elio Castroneves, last year's winner, is now running in 9th position. Tim Cindric, the president of Penske Racing, looks on as Will Power leads this event.
Well, Bob, Will Power out front right now, and they're getting about 2.8 miles to the gallon, which is a little bit less than most teams need. Jan mentioned the big game here today. That is save fuel, but stay out front. That's very difficult to do when you're leading the race. Most teams need about 3.2 miles to the gallon to make it to lap 31. That's your goal. If you can make it there, Kevin, you can make it a 2-stop race.
And Tony Kanaan's team was planning on making it a 3-stop race starting all the way back in 24th, but they picked up 10 spots on the first lap. That went out the window. He's now going to pit with the leaders.
J.R. Hildebrand just pitted, and it was not because they were wanting to go off strategy. He had that contact at the beginning with Rafa. He said at the time, I think the front nose is loose. They determined, though, they didn't think it was, and he kept going. Well, then they think they bent the right front toe link because his speeds are so slow. He came in and changed the nose, and he is, as you see, back out.
But he is currently in 25th position. Tony Kanaan, as we expected, having one heck of a race, and you will hear us refer to him during the season as TK. That's how he's known in the racing circle. So when you hear TK, you know it is Tony Kanaan. And the number on that car is number 82. And the reason for that is in 1965 at the Indianapolis 500, Jim Clark drove the Lotus to victory with the number 82. And so in remembrance of that, it's number 82 on the Geico-sponsored machine that's driven this year by Tony Kanaan.
You see how busy this place is, and these cars are they're very hard to turn, and you can actually see that on the onboard. You can see when they're turning these cars, taking a lot, and you don't have a whole lot of play. You come up over this hill flat. It's a violent racetrack on a race car driver because you're accelerating hard, you're braking hard, you're cornering. There's no real long straightaways to get a break around this place.
And one thing about Tony Kanaan and all three of the KV cars is check out the mirror color and also the color of the front flap. That's how you tell the cars apart. So Tony Kanaan is yellow, Sato is white, and EJ Viso is green. Otherwise, the cars are identical. So that's how we try to tell when they come towards us.
And Wally, one of the things we talked about on the qualifying show yesterday is the elevation change. Now, it doesn't appear very significant, but it really is in a couple of areas.
Yeah, it is. And you can see some of these places when they go down into the hill really hard. The car really, really compresses, and you're turning at the same time. And it just feels like about 500 pounds of force through that steering wheel. And that's why some of these guys are, driving a little bit hurt this weekend. It's really going to be tough, especially as we get further into the race.
And we talked about Viso, and you can see him, one car, of course, that's Vitor Mira in between the two teammates. And I mentioned at the opening of the show that Tony Kanaan had gone to Sato setup. Well, the same thing for EJ Viso. And the team had said, well, that's the great thing about having three cars. We had two cars that were out to lunch. We had one that was nice. So we moved both these cars to the same setup. And EJ Viso, he's charging.
Well, Viso had a rather hard crash on Friday.
Here comes Bourdais.
Oh, nice move to the inside of Mike Conway and taking the position. Wow.
And that's almost the way you got to do. You got to almost surprise somebody coming down in there. And there's also the crossover move. You could go down in there deep and blow it and have the guy cross underneath you. But if you can stay side by side, the next corner is a right-hander.
You can see Will Power is coming up on the lapped car of J.R. Hildebrand that we had the report from a few minutes ago, having made the pit stop. Ryan Briscoe, meanwhile, continues to ride along in second position behind the leader of the race. It's about a half second behind. Will Power up ahead.
Now we should say that Will Power, in this case, I'm sorry, Briscoe, also has a taped thumb. We talked about Justin Wilson, and again, from St. Petersburg, not the kind of damage, he doesn't have a fracture like Wilson, but another driver that's having to play hurt somewhat with his thumb being bent back.
And another one, Jan, is Alex Tagliani, who had all kinds of bruises on his hand after the race in St. Petersburg.
And when you pound the curbs like that, Wally, that's not what you want when your thumb is taped.
Hey guys, and Ryan talked to me about his thumb earlier in the day. He said it was really painful. He said especially when the car has too much oversteer. He said that really, when he's hustling the car like we were talking about, Jan, going over bumps, that's when he really feels it in his thumb. He did tear a few ligaments in there, and he told me it may be a month before this thing feels back to 100%. He said it doesn't affect my driving that much, just when the car's way, way too loose.
And for those of you who are new to the Eyes on IndyCar series, let's just remind everybody what understeer and oversteer is all about.
Understeer is when you hit the wall with the front. Oversteer is when you hit the wall with the rear. That's one of my favorite descriptions. Essentially, understeer means the front's not doing what you want. Ryan Hunter-Reay on pit road. Again, this wouldn't be scheduled if he's here. He most likely has an issue. Kevin?
Here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has not been all that pleased with his race car throughout this weekend. So he's obviously on a three-stop strategy. He's going on sticker reds. They want to add a little more grip, better traction on the car. And Hunter-Reay is back out.
8 seconds on the pit stop, and Ryan Hunter-Reay is staying under the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit until he crosses those cones there, in which he can accelerate and move back out onto the racetrack.
And it makes sense now. At first I thought, well, you wouldn't pit on lap 13 for any reason other than now it does make sense. If for some reason it was green the entire rest of the afternoon, he could then run at full fuel as fast as he wanted to the entire day, and that might pay dividends. I still think, obviously, the two-stop strategy is the way to go.
And you will also hear quite frequently the term push and loose used, and we'll explain those terms in a little bit, and how they relate to oversteer and understeer. Back in a moment.
Beautiful Sunday afternoon, the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. About 85 degrees here in Leeds, Alabama. Will Power has had no problem on a little Sunday stroll up front of the field in the Verizon car. They tell him he's good on fuel. Question is, can he make this a two-stop race? Everybody else will. Can Will Power make it a two-stop race today? Ryan Briscoe, his teammate, right behind him. They like the way he's using the fuel right now. That from Roger Penske. He calls this suit and this car and paint scheme his Big Bird paint scheme because it's all yellow, including the shoes, but that Penske truck colors, they look very nice. Scott Dixon right behind him. They've told him the entire time, you're exactly where we want on fuel, conserving it right now so they can make it to lap 31. On Thursday, Dixon cooked out for his entire team. I asked him how he was as a griller. He said, only okay. I don't know if they'll want to do it later in the year, Kevin.
Cardinal Serby has picked up a couple of spots. He's running in 4th. They were good in the test here, 5th and 7th. He said, though, this has been one of the toughest tracks he's ever had to learn. It's like Mid-Ohio on steroids. Marty?
Dario Franchitti right behind him. He's trying for his 3rd straight win for the first time in his career. They, too, are on the strategy, trying to get 3.2 miles to the gallon, make it to lap 31 for their first pit stop today. Right behind him, Justin Wilson, and we talked about his wrist issues earlier in the week when he had to deal with that broken wrist. He's been dealing with it all week long. This morning, he took a cortisone shot, trying to numb that wrist a little bit in his left leg. It's been fine so far, no complaints about the wrist so far. For Marco Andretti, he's moved from 9th to 7th today in the race, and in warm-up this morning, his car was, quote, junk. They said they need 2 tenths more from him, fuel mileage-wise. And remember, Marco lost this race very late last year because of fuel mileage, Kevin.
Alex Tagliani picked up 2 positions on the start, 2 more on the next restart. He's no longer a co-owner this year after starting his team last year. Sam Schmidt took over. Tag is enjoying just being a driver again. Helio Castroneves running 9th. He started 4th and lost positions when he got off early. As mentioned, he's not been real happy with his race car so far, but he's still got an opportunity to get a good finish after not scoring the points he wanted last week. The 88 car has the 38 car of Ryan Hunter-Reay running in 10th position right now, and Hunter-Reay has already made his first stop, so he's looking at a 3-stop. The Graham Rahal car of 38 is still in a position of a 2-stop race. Next up, we see Takuma Sato. Sato coming off a 5th place run a couple of weeks ago, having the best run he's had so far. He is on schedule now to make it all the way to lap 31. Lindy?
Simona Di Silvestro being asked to conserve fuel. Her strategist telling her she is doing a great job at that. She is coming off of her best IZOD IndyCar Series finish. 4th at St. Pete. She and her engineer Brett Harvey had just met a week prior, still trying to learn each other's language, Kevin.
Vitor Mir is hoping to make this a 2-stop race, but it's going to be close. They're probably going to pit on 28 or 29. Continue his weekend. They didn't load off the truck very well, but he said he's been getting a little bit better in each session. Lindy?
Well, now we see E.J. Vizo. It's been a tough couple of days for this team. He told me we have lots of faith, though, that we are going to have a good race today. What they have decided to do is use E.J. Vizo's, or he will use Takuma Sato's setup. Let's go back to the number 19, which is Sebastian Bourdais. This whole team just came together about 10 days before the start of the season. This is technically his first race because he crashed during the warm-up at St. Pete. He is lacking grip and having a really difficult time. Let's go back to the number 83, which is Charlie Kimball. You heard Bob Jenkins say earlier that he deals with diabetes. He said the blood sugar, when it's too low, you heard Bob say he can do a drink bottle. Well, on the other side of that, if his blood sugar is too high, he he actually has to come in and give himself an insulin shot. Marty.
Well, Indy, Mike Conway hitting the pits here, trying to get this fuel mileage to work out, but they just could not make it a 3-stop race. A lot of these teams really needed like 3 or 4 laps of caution to make that 2-stop race work out. It will be sticker reds going on for Conway. What an amazing comeback for this young man this year after the terrific wreck last year at Indianapolis. For him just to be in the car and be fit, it's an amazing story, isn't it?
You're right about that. He was the guy who very late in the race, in fact, on the last lap of the Indianapolis 500 last year, was involved in a horrible crash in turns 3 and 4 and was out for the rest of the year. But he is back with a new team. He's now with Andretti Autosport. Will Power is still the leader of the race. Danica Patrick running back in the 21st position. We were unable to get back to her because we had to cover the Conway pit stop. But Danica Patrick running in the 21st position right now, some 52 seconds behind the leader of the race. The leader is Will Power, and running in second position, about 2.3 seconds behind, is Ryan Briscoe. Scott Dixon running third, Oriol Serbia is fourth, and Dario Franchitti fifth at Barber Motorsports Park. And this battle for second, third is really the best on the racetrack as Ryan Briscoe in yellow leads Scott Dixon in red. Let me put a period on this oversteer and understeer type of thing. Now, you can equate push with understeer. Both of those words have a U in them. You can equate loose to oversteer because both words have an O.
Very good, Bob. Did you work on that last night?
I spent all night working on that.
I'll tell you what, I think Dixon's got a really, really good car here, better than I think people think. He was awfully quick in qualifying with not that many laps. He could lay some laps down, and he's slowly been pulling in on Briscoe. I think these guys got a strong piece on him right now.
Let's go down and talk to Mike Hull. Here's Marty.
I think Mike Hull would agree with Wally. The car is very good. Let's see where they're going to try to get the fuel mileage here. Mike, you're going to try to get to 31 for the first stop?
We're trying. That's Scott's pretty good at making fuel. Hopefully he can make a little for us today. 31 would be great.
Has he said anything about the car at all? He hasn't said much today, has he?
Well, we'd know if there was something wrong with the car. It's pretty good at the moment.
I would say it's pretty good, and as you said, sort of catching Briscoe a little bit. With Wally, that whole time, you still got to hit that fuel number, so you can't go too fast because you got to stay in the fuel mileage range. Kevin?
Tim Cindric calls the race for Helio Castroneves. They've got another wing out. What's going on?
It looks like we got part of the front wing flapping, but it looks like a brace is missing, but I don't think we'll change it unless we get the opportunity without losing any track position.
Still come in, and you're going to have to make it a 3-stop strategy now. Is he coming in sooner or going to try to stay out?
It looks like most of the leaders are going to be on 2-stop strategy because of the yellow in the beginning, but looks like there's a stay broke or something along those lines, but right now we'll just keep going.
Okay, Tim Cindric.
All right, and Helio Castroneves continues to run back in the 9th position.
You know, I want to get back to Marty. You know, Marty, you were actually telling me a story this morning about how come Scott's so good at fuel mileage.
Yeah, I asked Mike Hull, why did he become so good? And he said, you know, we actually went back to the Champ Car days. We were racing for Toyota, and honestly, we didn't have the horsepower to beat anyone. So the only way we were going to beat anyone was on fuel mileage. They worked weeks and months with Scott Dixon trying to make him hit an exact fuel mileage number. I asked Scott about it. He said, literally, it was months. They were out on the track forever just trying to hit the exact number. He said the biggest part about it is getting into a rhythm. Every lap, every corner, reminding yourself, I have to lift early, get on the gas late. And that's what you have to do to save that fuel and hit the exact number you want.
And it's hard to do when you're a race car driver because a race car driver's DNA is to go out, full out all the time. And it's really, really difficult to tell yourself that you've got to save RPMs, you've got to, you know, get off the throttle a little bit earlier or brake earlier to save that fuel, especially when you're racing other cars and you see guys coming, you know, in your mirror.
And it's a good, as we make transition and see Graham Rahal moving in here. Think about someone like Graham Rahal, Castroneves ahead of them. Castroneves, like Dixon, used to drive in the days when there was unlimited testing. So you could go out and learn how to drive in a fuel mileage race. You have a new driver like Graham Rahal, the new generation that's coming through. As he's worked through the ranks, they've cut back testing because of budgets, and you just don't have that opportunity. So you go into IndyCar and you get into the race and they hit the button and say, save fuel, and they don't have the testing opportunities like the veterans do.
If you check out the front of Castroneves' car, you'll see that, what do you call it, because I'm an idiot still?
End fence.
The end fence. on that car, the Prix car right there. Take a look at it. You'll see on Elio's car, it'll flap in the wind. And it's on our right. Oh, little lockup there.
And that's Sato going up the inside. He just got by Rahal.
Good job, good job.
That moves Sato into the top 10. Rahal back to 11th. And you can see that flap on
Yeah, you see the
Castroneves'
Prix car when it's on speed. You can kind of see it right there. It's vibrating. Just that little bit is downforce on the front of that car.
Okay, that's not the end fence. The end fence are blue. The white pieces, the dividers as they call them on the wings, are mandatory at this racetrack. Here comes Sato up the inside. Great braking with no lockup. When you go to the inside, of course, Wally, it's slippery there.
Yes,
and that was great brake modulation. So easy to lock them up.
Yeah, and the track is getting slippery. You can see these guys are fighting it. The track's losing grip. They've been out there for a long time. So it's a handful with these cars right now.
We've had several races on this track this weekend. Yesterday, the Grand Am Series, the Continental Tire Series, and earlier today, Star Mazda and the Firestone Indy Lights competed.
Tight group right there.
That is.
Sato has a great run.
There's a little bit of a hog in the racetrack.
Gonna try it on Castroneves. Into the corner.
Oh, a little bit of contact. Oh,
and Sato goes around.
Thought he had it.
Wow. Keep it running. Yep, he kept it running. Now, hopefully he doesn't have any damage on that right front suspension because that's a pretty hard shot.
Castroneves was giving him room, but he can only go so far out the line. His teammate Viso gets by now.
I mean, he was there. He was committed, and Castroneves knew he was there.
Gave him some room here, but Castroneves can't. That's as wide as Castroneves can go. Sato, unfortunately, is trying to stay with the power. Castroneves was a gentleman, and Sato tried to force the issue, but thankfully kept it running, so he'll be back for more.
This is Simona Di Silvestro's in-car. She was right behind the bump.
And you know, when you're on the bottom like that, Jan, and you're trying to get it on the gas, and you get a little bit of a push, and he may got a little bit of a push where the car wouldn't turn, and that's why he made contact with Castroneves.
And Simona.
Yeah, Simona looking a little racy. And Sebastian Saavedra is off course. And he is in the backstretch there, but appears to be able to get the car rolling again. That's good, so no caution. By the way, Tony Kanaan made a pit stop. He has dropped back to 21st position. As Saavedra gets the car rolling once again, and there is the leader of the race who continues to pull away. He's now a little more than 5 seconds ahead of Ryan Briscoe. We're talking about Will Power, who has led every lap so far. 29 completed out of 90, so we're almost a third of the way through this event already as Ryan Briscoe now hits pit lane. Ryan Briscoe headed toward you, Marty.
Yeah, here he comes, Bob, and Roger Penske made the call to pit, and then right when Ryan was at the commit line, he said, stay out, but it was too late. Briscoe here on pit road getting Sunoco fuel, and you see the 4 sticker blacks going on for the 6 car.
And Marty, the reason they would do that is they'd be watching the fuel because that was lap 28. You would want 29, 30 to give yourself a chance at a 2-stop race. If you're stopping at 28 with 2 laps of yellow, he's not going. Well, he'll need help for sure.
Here's Vitor Meira coming in, driving for the AJ Foyt team again this year. Sponsorship from ABC Supply. 4 Firestone Firehawk tires and Sunoco ethanol going in, and Vitor Meira peels out. Also coming down is the number 19 car, Sebastian Saavedra, or rather Sebastian Bourdais, yeah.
Easy for you to say, Bob.
Thank you. It's Alex Tagliani in the black and white car with the copper trim, very pretty race car, and right behind him is Graham Rahal. This would be 8th, 9th, and 10th as we have another car. Oriol Serbia hits pit lane in car number 2. He gave up a top 5 position here to make the pit stop, and they made quite an adjustment there in the front of the car.
Made a wing adjustment there.
I think these cars are in the ballpark because remember, you have parade and pace laps, so they've burned additional fuel. So they're rolling in here 29. That makes you have to slow down if you don't get any more caution, but they might be in the ballpark. Briscoe could be in trouble. He was a lap ahead.
Alex Tagliani completes his pit stop, and so does Graham Rahal, but Tag beat him out. As Danica Patrick goes sailing by, locking up the brakes a little bit.
She's been locking that right front up quite a bit going up that hill.
She is another person who has changed her setup. They've gone more towards Marco Andretti, again a 4-car team. Hang on, I think Viso's going to try and make a move here. I can tell you that Viso did get by on the inside of 5.
Justin Wilson makes a pit stop. Driving for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing, and behind him is Marco Andretti.
Bob, both cars with a lot of understeer for Marco Andretti. They're going to put 1 round of wing in, trying to get that car to loosen up just a little bit for him. Also the same case for Justin Wilson, who said at one point, oh, do I have tires on this car anymore? So much understeer for these guys, sliding all over the place on a very slick racetrack. Lindy?
Mona off with the faster reds, and she has the black tires on now. Also got some Sunoco fuel. No changes for her. You talked about how racy she's been. She's happy. They're telling her great job. In fact, they told her a few laps ago she's running the same times as 4th place.
Wow.
Helio Castroneves just came in. They did not change that front wing. I could see a little bit on the right end fence, but they stayed the way it is. They went to black tires, so Castroneves trying to hang in there, and he's still in the same strategy as the leaders, Marty.
You saw Will Power pull a tear off of his visor. He said, do you want front wing? That was from John Erickson, who's filling in today for Clive Howell. He said, do you want some front wing? He said, only if you're putting on reds, but they're putting on black tires. So they decided to make the front wing change anyway. Will coming down pit road and said, yes, I do want the front wing to help this car just a little bit.
And the black tires are a little bit looser, correct, on the reds?
Yes.
Here comes Ryan Briscoe, so Power beat Briscoe out of the pits by quite a margin. It's going to maintain the lead. That's Sebastian Sylvander again on the left that Ryan went by. And so with the first round of pit stops completed now for just about everybody, Will Power continues to hold on to the lead. Scott Dixon now running second. Dario Franchitti is third. Then Briscoe and Oriol Serbia the top 5. Running in second position is Scott Dixon, about 5 seconds behind. Robin Miller has some observations. Robin?
Well, Bobby, I'm just going to chime in what Wally said. It looked like Dixon might have the fastest car. He's got the fastest lap of the race, the only guy to run under 115. And everybody wanted to know how those red tires, how many laps could they run hard. Will Power ran all 31 laps under 115. So did Scott Dixon, except he managed to get under 115. Power got all his in the 115 bracket. And they just came down and told me that one of the reasons that the advantage went up for Will Power was Dixon had a little hiccup in the pits with the fuel sensor, and he wasn't ready to go, or he thought he wasn't ready to go. So that's why he's fallen a couple more seconds behind.
One of the things that we always look closely at here is in-laps and out-laps, and certainly Power and Dixon quicker than Briscoe on the way in. And very similar time, certainly, for Briscoe and Dixon on the way out. Those few tenths, they definitely add up.
Danica Patrick has moved into the top 10. She now finds herself in 10th position. She is being
Get as much out of it as you can. Important right now.
Challenged by Tony Kanaan, who is right behind her in that 82 car.
Tony Kanaan has certainly been on a charge. I got all excited about Viso's move. That was actually Tony Kanaan. I'm still running the wing colors.
Hey, if you're having trouble, I'm good with it. I'm the new guy, and I'm having trouble with these colors. Oh, she locks it up again. I'm telling you, she's been really locking that left front up a lot. And I'll tell you what, you see how much... Oh, we got trouble.
Local yellow, turn 6, middle of the track, 4 car.
keeps it running. Wow, these guys are keeping their engines running and not creating full course cautions, which is really good. Here it is once again.
Graham Rahal to the inside.
And Castro Neves probably got a bump there.
He was following the course map he did this morning with Marty.
And you can see,
I don't think he knew he was there at all.
But he wasn't in position. So I think that JR, he didn't go all the way to the apex, but you know, Graham.
I saw an opening, went for it.
Yeah, hey, he's pretty far back.
Absolutely.
Hildebrand running in 24th position. He's now a lap behind.
Yeah, and he's having a kind of a rough day. Stalled it after his pit stop, which cost him a lot of time.
And Rahal will make a pit stop to get the damage that he incurred in that incident fixed.
Graham Rahal just radioed in and said the toe link is bent. They're changing tires. He said, we don't need anything new, just get the hammer out and we can get this done. They've still got the engine fired, so they'll try to make this as quickly as they can. Red tires on for Rahal. Lindy?
James Jakes out of the car. Your car was on fire here in pit lane. What do you know happened?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. We came in, we did a pit stop, and then when I left the pits, we had an oil temperature warning on the dash. And then as I was coming out of turn 3, it felt very hot in there, so I radioed to the crew to ask them to look at the telemetry and see what the problem was. And then we pitted and the car was on fire, so not a great weekend, but you know, things are looking a bit more promising.
Well, they just pulled the car away. We'll let you go back and meet with your team. Bob, an unfortunate end of the day for James Jakes.
Oh, a big spin behind Tony Kanaan. That was Alex Tagliani.
Yellow turn 16, driver's left.
Now he's got those rear wheels in the sand trap. Let's hope he can get out of there, and let's hope they. Nope, we have a full course caution. Second one of the day. First coming out on lap 1. And here's what happened to Alex Tagliani, car number 77.
Just got loose right in the middle. You know, you're in that corner for a long time. He's got the blacks on. The track is really, really hot. He just lost a little bit of grip in the rear. And that's a perfect example of loose.
Yes. And Bob, you just finished saying how great everyone was doing, keeping the engine running.
I know.
And you jinxed
him. Yep. And they're still working on Graham Rahal's car.
Now, it's worthy saying that Graham Rahal made an aggressive move. And I need to remind myself, it wasn't for position because Hildebrand, as we saw, had trouble earlier. So when it's not for position and someone's a lap down, you expect them to give you more room. So my first view, of course, is looking at it for position. And you can see then why he would expect that Hildebrand would give him some more room and be aggressive on the inside.
Correct. I agree with that. At St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago, after the first restart, Graham made contact with another car and hit the fence, and they spent a great deal of time in the pits fixing the wing and making adjustments to the suspension. He finished in 17th, and Graham Rahal continues to set in pit lane right now as the Holmatro safety team is at the Alex Tagliani car, getting him refired. But this will pack up the field, Wally, and give us another restart.
A double file restart with the car that you think is the fastest now, right next to one Will Power.
I like it. I like it.
Tagliani is moving again. We'll take another break and be back in a moment to Barber Motorsports Park. On Versus Nonstop, you saw during our commercial break that several made pit stops, but few running up front did so. And so at lap number 39 out of 90, we are still under caution, getting set for a restart, a 2 abreast restart. It'll be Power, Dixon, Briscoe, Franchitti, Serbia, Wilson, Marco Andretti, and Simone Di Silvestro, 7th and 8th, and Takuma Sato and Helio Castro Neves, 9th and 10th. Let's go down to Lindy Thaxton.
Well, Danica Patrick just came in for her pit. She got the faster red tires, a brand new set, and also some Sunoco fuel. Didn't want any changes. Her strategist, George Klotz, if you remember, she pitted pretty close to the beginning of the race, he said they're trying to do something different with strategy. Over her radio, interesting, before the race started, she said, hey guys, to her crew, she said, hey guys, I'm going to do the best job I can do because I know that you will do the same thing. We're just going to see what happens today. Marty.
Well, Indy, Roger Penske making the calls for Ryan Briscoe. This caution may help you out there.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, we thought there was going to be a full course shell, and we came in splitting up the cars, but obviously we're a little bit tight on fuel, but this certainly helps, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you tried to get him not to pit, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but we a little bit of indecision here, but we was already committed. You can't see the start or the finish line where you come into the pit area there, so but we're fine. Long race.
Worked out for these guys. When he went back out on the track, he was faster than everyone else because he was on those new tires, Kevin.
And Marty, this caution worked out well for those on a three-stop strategy like Tony Kanaan. He came in the first time on lap 14. He was due to be in by about lap 40, so this still keeps them on the same sequence. Same for Ryan Hunter-Reay. He made his second stop. Kanaan, by the way, went to Reds, and Hunter-Reay is back out there as well.
And for those of you, again, who aren't familiar with the series, there are two kinds of tires in ISOT IndyCar racing per weekend. There is a set of reds, and you see the red-white walls, the red sidewalls, I should say, and the black primary tires. Now, the reds are softer compound, but they are faster, but they don't last as long. The black primary tires are a little harder compound, and they last a lot longer, but aren't quite as fast.
Something Dario was telling me last night was that the problem with the blacks, John, is that they pick up a lot of stuff under caution. You really have to keep these things scrubbed off. That's the biggest problem with them when they've run, and they're under a couple laps of caution. They pick up a lot of debris, which if you don't get that debris off when they throw the green flag, it's like being on ice.
And speaking of debris, the reason they haven't gone back to green is they're taking the opportunity to sweep some of these corners, especially before a double foul restart. You don't want all that debris on the outside line and send them in there 2x2. So they've learned some lessons from St. Petersburg. Mike Conway is getting a great opportunity after not getting a chance in St. Petersburg. And he, certainly in the test, was a very fast pilot at this racetrack.
Has the fastest race lap so far on lap number 23. He is, however, being shown at this moment in 20th position. Now the cars begin lining up for the two abreast restart, and this is being done basically for one reason: to make the restarts more exciting for you, the race fan. And that is what we're seeing right now as they come side by side. The leader gets his choice of which lane he wants to start in, and he must lead the others on the restart. And here we go on lap number 40. The green flag is out. Here we go.
Great start for Will Power. He did what he needed to do. Wow, really close back there between Briscoe and Franchitti. Franchitti, he's underneath them. Trying to get a little bit of contact.
That was inevitable.
Yeah, and that's going to cost Briscoe a few spots right there. Wow, look at these guys going down in this corner.
A lot of
three abreast.
Kicked up.
Nice move.
Local yellow, turn 6 on the exit.
Simona Di Silvestro is involved. That's EJ Viso and the number 59.
Caution, full course caution.
That will be a full course caution because there is damage to those race cars, or at least one of them.
And James Hinchcliffe was the third car involved.
Yep. He
Definitely.
has rear suspension.
Yeah,
damage.
he will not be continuing. Macho guys had the starter and then thought, well,
why bother?
No, he was actually looking, I think, over Viso's direction, but he had significant damage as well.
Here it is once again.
Castro Neves comes up the inside, makes it 3 wide.
It looks like the 59 car just turned down a little bit too tight on Simona.
And there was definitely side-to-side contact. Viso tried to keep the wheel spinning to keep it going, but then, of course, had contact. Now, let's see. This will be the look at the right front, because that's where the contact happens. She gets squeezed in the middle of the sandwich.
I'm not sure she was hit by anyone or thing.
Just had a little tap on Viso, though, to get him turned.
Didn't take much of that corner. You're on the edge as it is.
This is Kanaan. Danica behind.
Wow.
Nice Scott.
Boy, he got some spots there.
Simona Di Silvestro is out of her car, and so is E.J. Viso. So we'll take another break. Lap 42 out of 90 here at Barber Motorsports Park. Will Power is your leader. The Epic Cycle presented by Michelob Ultra continues on Versus. Tonight at 7, it's the Hell of the North. The world's best cyclists combat the cobblestones of Paris-Roubaix and demanding one-day trek. The Epic continues tonight at 7 o'clock, only on Versus. And I learned how to pronounce that from John Vikas. If you want to know anything about cycling, you ask Jan, because he is a cyclist.
Hey, just to tell you, I had to step out of the booth here for a second during the commercial.
Yeah.
I have really missed the smell of ethanol. I really do. Some people don't like it, but boy, it just smells good to me.
There is E.J. Viso's car on the hook, and it's been quite a weekend for E.J. Viso.
St. Petersburg, of course, he had contact, not on one occasion, but on 2 occasions. A big one here in the final corner. 3rd time in St. Petersburg. And in fact, that final corner certainly was a bugaboo for E.J. Viso. In fact, yesterday, I believe the term was, well, let's watch first of all again this replay, Wally.
I think Viso just cut it a little bit too close on Simona. Just a little bit of contact there to get him loose. And then he got hammered by Hinchcliffe. I mean, he was free and clear there until he got pegged there.
And as we said earlier, he had a pretty significant crash on Friday here at Barber during warm-ups. Now, Simona Di Silvestro was able to get her car running again, so she is still in the race, but not so with E.J. Viso. Let's go down to Robin Miller.
Bobby, last year, KV Racing had $3 million worth of damage. There goes Alex Tagliani making a quick pit stop. Here's the thing about Viso's team. They spent over $3 million in parts damage last year. I think that's about what his sponsorship is for the year, and we're in race 2. So he needs to have a couple clean races here or find some more money.
All right, there is Simona Di Silvestro as she has got herself back into the competition here. Tony Kanaan up into 10th position here.
And he's been doing it the hard way. I mean, he's been making some really, really gutsy passes today.
Up 14 positions from his starting spot. Good run for Tony Kanaan, as was the case 2 weeks ago. He finished in 3rd position.
Control to starter and pace car. 1 to go at the line. 1 to go at the line.
Let's go to a replay here and look at some contact between Franchitti and Briscoe.
Wow, that is so close. And this one, it gets
Comes back in.
Oh, there's the bump.
That in-car footage is just incredible. That is so cool to watch.
All right, Marty.
Yeah, Bob, Justin Wilson still struggling with that wrist. We've talked about it quite a bit today, but he radioed to the crew under the caution previous to this one, said it's really hurting me, guys. Again, it's the left wrist for Justin Wilson. He's dealt with this before. He broke his wrist a few years ago at Australia and almost won the race 3 weeks later, so he knows what he's doing, but in a lot of pain today. Once again, took a cortisone shot before the race, trying to numb that wrist just a little bit, but it's not working out. Real quick, just checked with Roger Penske. He said the wheel on Ryan Briscoe's car is fine. No toe out on that car after the 2 contacts that we've seen in the last few laps.
If I might go back several years, whenever I see a 22 on an Indy car, I think of Wally Dallenbach Sr. in the Sprite car that he drove for many years. That was a cool car.
That's right. He had a couple different cars. He drove an Eagle for Gurney, and then I think it was a Hopkins car. 22 Sprite Special.
Oh boy, that was one of my favorites back in the late 60s and early 70s, and we're glad to have Wally Dallenbach Jr. in the booth with us.
You know, getting adjusted, though, that's one thing, you know, Marty was talking about. I don't think you can come to a tougher place with a wrist injury. And oh, by the way, we're going to Long Beach. I mean, yeah. These are two really hard racetracks if you have, you know, hand or wrist injuries.
Hey, Wally, the one thing he said, I don't know how I'm going to handle Long Beach next week. He said, I have no idea how I'm going to do that one corner at Long Beach. So.
Oriol Servia is running in 4th position and having a heck of a race. His last win was in 2005 in Montreal, 53 races ago, but I think he's paired up with a good team this year and could very well be a contender.
And Bob, the team thinks they are making progress. Oriol said this morning, I don't know if we have enough yet to make Team Penske nervous, but we're getting there.
That's a good solid run for those guys today.
Just Franchitti, Dixon, and Power ahead of Oriol Servia. He will line up to the inside of Dario as we get set for the restart. The pace car brings them very slowly.
You know, Dixon can't beat the leader to the line, but I think he's got to try to stay beside him going through turn 1. If he can do that, he can get the spot going through up over the hill in turn 2. Power got a really good start last time.
Dario looked like he was going to head for the inside there. Getting 3 abreast, we see some brakes being locked up, and they go 2 abreast through the corner. Everybody okay though for the moment. Spoke too soon. You see Pete's is flying off of the car, of some car, and it's Mike Conway. We have reached the halfway point of this race, but Mike Conway is finished for the day. Major suspension damage on the rear of the car.
And if it was his front wing that went flying, these cars don't turn very well without a front wing.
And he's climbing out rather gingerly, flexing his left leg. And the 22 car of Justin Wilson is also damaged, we understand.
Looks clean from that angle. Oh, he's a left rear tire.
Here's what happened.
I think it happened underneath that camera shot, I believe.
Here we go.
Get a better shot angle here. Oh, happened really well. I'm not sure that had anything to do with the wing stuff flying.
That's a big hit.
Now he got hooked. Got hooked in the left rear, and it just turned that car straight to the left.
Mike Conway on the ground. The Matro safety team is there, and he hit in a portion of the track that did not have tires to protect the arm post.
And Bob, Justin Wilson here, he didn't say much on the radio about what did happen, but they'll put on 4 sticker black tires here for Justin Wilson. This will obviously throw them out of their fuel range. You have to get to lap 60 to be able to make it all the way to the end, so they will have to at least make one more stop.
Wilson back out on course. Well, they say cautions breed cautions, and that's what we've had in the last few minutes. Mike Conway's car is severely damaged on the left side. Go on board with J.R. Hildebrand here and get a better perspective perhaps of what happened. As Takuma Sato has some damage on his car also right front. This is Hildebrand.
We got a little bit. No, well, there is the 2 cars we just saw.
Yep.
The puncture on the left rear for Wilson and the wing that we saw flying.
Right.
And apparently this has nothing to do with what happened to Mike Conway. That was that hooking with another car, as you saw from the aerial view.
So this whole side of the wing is missing. They'll have to replace that nose section.
with us on our pre-race show. You heard from Takuma Sato and the fact that his heart really is in Japan, where his family is because of the earthquake and the tsunami. He is putting on, or had a good race going here. He was in 7th position. He's going to have to come in undoubtedly to fix that, and there he is right there. So he gives up 7th position to come in for the repair on the car. Takuma Sato, driving for KB Racing Technology. Co-owners Kevin Kalkoven and Jimmy Vassar, thus the KB. And Sato arrives at his pit stop.
And they're going to change that front nose cone. It's all one assembly. It's the front wing and it's the nose cone as well. They can do this in 20, 25 seconds, maybe even a little bit quicker than that in that range. They'll change the tires as well. They're going to scuff reds, make a front wing adjustment, and Sato is back out. Marty?
Well, James Hinchcliffe and I started the day here at the IZOD Performance Pit Center, and unfortunately we end the day here. What happened?
Yeah, you know, it's we got off to a rough start. You know, I was hoping to not make too many rookie mistakes. I made one on lap 1. We went around and fell to the back, but the team got me back onto a great strategy, and we were down to 2 stops, and I think we were running pretty well. And on that restart, you know, Simona, I think, got into EJ. That wasn't his fault, but, I mean, day 1 of racing school, you learn when you're spinning, you hit the brakes and the clutch, and he just hit the gas. And I went around the outside of him, hoping he just hit the brakes. He pinned it, the back end whipped around and took us out. So, I mean, it'd be easy to make a Viso joke right now. We're not going to do that, but it wasn't his fault he spun. He put himself in a bad position and then ended up taking us out too. So unfortunate day for the whole team. You know, Newman Haas deserved better than that today. Sprott deserved better than that today. But you know, keep your head up and we'll move on to the next one.
You gonna go have a conversation with him?
There's no point. I mean, if he doesn't know what he did, if he hasn't learned it yet, he's not going to learn it. So there's no point talking to him about it.
All right, thanks, James.
Thanks a lot.
All right, still cleaning up here at Barber Motorsports Park. Mike Conway's wreck getting cleaned up. We'll be back in a moment here on Versus More IndyCar Racing.
Welcome back to the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. I am with EJ Viso. From your perspective, what happened out there?
Well, to be honest, it's been a very tough start of season. It's amazing the potential we have in this team, how things are coming out together, but for some reason I've been pretty much visiting the wall almost every session. Some of them it's been unfortunate being in the wrong position, in the wrong place as now.
And we're back to green flag racing.
Let's hope for better things from EJ Viso.
By Simona, I just had a pretty good restart. We took 3 or 4 cars in the outside. I was just having a very smooth shot into corner 5, and suddenly I just got hit by her. I was putting the car back in the track, and Hinchcliffe was pretty much avoiding all the cows, and I just got hit by him in the rear tire.
A very rough start to the season for EJ Viso, and we're back to racing, Bob.
And we had at least 1 car off track as we watched them down into turn number 5, go 2 abreast. That's Danica Patrick, of course, on the outside of the green car. On a dust again, being kicked up. Everybody appears to be running okay, Marty.
Yeah, some tense moments down here on pit road, Bob. A moment ago, Chip Ganassi came over to Will Power's pits. The complaint was from Scott Dixon on the last restart, saying Power had chopped him off twice. They asked IndyCar officials to warn Power not to do that again, and then Mr. Ganassi came down and said, if your guy does that again, I'm going to tell my guy just to take him out.
Whoa, all right.
So there you have it. So much for playing nice. Well, you know, hey, you don't have many opportunities for sure, and on these restarts is you know, a great opportunity. I still think Dixon's got a very fast car. You could apply the pressure to Will Power, which he has had none yet today. It could get interesting.
Franchitti running there in 3rd position in the blue car. Right behind is Ryan Briscoe in yellow. And in 5th spot is Marco Andretti, who is making the comeback from the upside-down incident he had at St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago.
Serbia and Hunter Ray side by side.
Yeah. And Elio Castroneves right there also. Just watch and listen to the action here as we go into the IZOD Speed Zone. things going on at these restarts, and I think Robin Miller made the point in one of our pre-race shows that hey, this is good stuff. I like the side-by-side restarts. The drivers have just got to learn to take care of themselves and each other a little bit.
You know, we were in the drivers' meeting this morning, and it really came down to Brian. I tell you, Hunter Ray is on attack right now in Serbia. He really wants that spot. Taking a look. Yeah, that's a tough place right there to make a pass. But anyway, what Brian was telling us was, hey, it's up to you. You guys have the steering wheel in your hands. Try to give each other enough room, a little bit more respect. Here we have the conversation between the two gentlemen that got in the last wreck.
Hinchcliffe on the right and DJ Viso on the left. They are having a heated discussion, it would appear.
So much for, well, I don't really need to talk to him about it. He changed his, oh, there's a, looks like reconciliation.
Okay, all right, all's well. See you in Long Beach. Continue to watch Ryan Hunter-Reay here all over the rear wing of Oriole Serbia. This is the battle for 6th position. Serbia has it, and Ryan Hunter-Reay would like to have it.
There's two things going on here. The obvious one is that Serbia is on blacks, and Ryan Hunter-Reay is on the faster reds. They've done that on purpose, so you can get this kind of battle.
Here comes the setup.
And he's got a good run up. Here he comes.
Now, if he doesn't blow it wide, nice move. You're almost a sitting duck, aren't you? When you're on the blacks and somebody's racing you on the reds.
That's the whole idea behind it. They're trying to come up with people on different strategies. I said there was two things going on, and that is I believe that Serbia is still on a 2-stop strategy. We know that Ryan Hunter-Reay is on 3. So you have one that's having the same fuel, one who can go for it, and you have the difference in tires. That made for some good racing disparity, so you can get past it.
Ryan Hunter-Reay has 5 pushes of the Honda assist.
A little out of shape there. Castaneda's got a little bit loose.
Danica Patrick's right behind him. That's 9th spot.
Castaneda's has really been wrestling with that car today. I've been noticing he's had his hands full, under braking everywhere. Just does not have the grip on that car I think you would like. She's right on top. I'll tell you what, she might be able to pull out and try to get a braking move here, and she does. She's taking a look.
Danica trying to get the spot from Elio, and she gets it. Danica's having a good race here this afternoon.
Now again, Danica is on the reds. Castaneda's is on the blacks.
That moves her up to 8th.
Hey, Bob, it's getting nail-biting time up front here. About 6 laps away from pit stops for the 12 car of Will Power and also the 9 car of Scott Dixon. And what's going to be key is if it's under green, the in and out lap. John's been talking about it all day long. Scott Dixon is one of the best in the business at making up time, coming to pit road and leaving pit road. But can he make up the gap he has right now and beat Power out of the pits? That's going to be a huge key.
Another key, Marty, is going to be can one of those two go a lap longer? And we've obviously spent quite a bit of time, and you told the story about Scott Dixon's fuel-saving capability. If you can go a lap longer than a Will Power, that has an even bigger difference than in and out laps.
And the other thing, Jan, real quick, on pit road last time, Scott Dixon put it into gear just a little bit too early. Mike Hall told him, wait for me next time, wait for me. You almost went too early, and we weren't quite ready. So he's got to, he's trying to slow the driver down on pit road, but also beat the other guy off of pit road.
Don't count out Franchitti. He's right there, isn't he? Quietly been moving his way forward and right there. Got the leaders in front of him, and he can see them.
All 3 of those that you just mentioned stopped together on the last lap, so we'll get a good indicator of if someone can go farther.
55 out of 90 laps completed in the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Will Power leads Dixon, Franchitti, Briscoe, and Hunter-Reay.
Is this back
That's happening right now?
Wow.
That's not
Briscoe.
a recap.
Briscoe is in the trap.
Wow, Ryan Briscoe one of the guys running up front all afternoon. And we understand that he had contact with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Let's see how it occurred. On board with Ryan.
That's a tough place to make a pass right there. First of all, when you hit a curb, like where you're going, you're not going to turn. You're going to go straight, and that's what exactly that happened. He hit that curb, and it just launched him at Briscoe. And
you know what? Ryan Briscoe gave him room in a place that you most likely wouldn't. But Ryan Briscoe was trying to do the right thing. He gave him room knowing that he was trying to make an aggressive move. But like you say, Wally, the moment that Hunter-Reay hits the curb and flies through the air,
there's no control.
You're like a missile.
That. Yeah.
And you know what is he thinking right now? That's 2 races.
Yep.
With damaged cars.
Yep.
Very few points. He was running fast, gave a guy room, and he's thinking, what do I have to do?
But even at that, Jan, if you're going to give a guy room to make a pass there, you almost got to get out of his way. That's a really, really tough corner to even run through there side by side.
Well, I think he was trying to defend and said, oh my goodness, he's coming up the inside. I got to try and do something.
This is turn 5 now, before the actual incident happened.
Okay, so here's where you're coming up, and obviously he's right there. He's going to take a look. This is just not the best place to do that. And you know, and I think even Hunter, before he committed himself, said this isn't the best place to do that, because you could see the right front was locked up. I don't think he wanted to be on that curve. So just, you know, that's a judgment call you got to make right now.
Yeah.
And both guys lose on that one.
Briscoe climbs out of his wrecked race car. But once again, he will not have a good finish, as was the case last race 2 weeks ago at St. Petersburg.
You know, back in the day, if that would happen and somebody had a run on you, you pull over in front of them and block them so that they can't do that to you, but they're not allowed to do that.
Right.
So, unfortunately, Ryan Hunter-Reay, after hitting that curve, just speared poor Ryan Briscoe, who, in my opinion, wasn't at fault.
Does Ryan Hunter have nose damage at all?
Well, we'll find out, because we have a lot of pit stops that are being made, including Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And Bob, these are pit stops that could decide the race. This pit window is just short of what everyone needs, so they're going to need a little bit of caution here to make sure they can get all the way to the end. Will Power, all the way at the end of pit road, requested red tires because he wants to help them on the restart. These are scuffed red tires for Will Power. One turn of wing and Sunoco fuel in. He will easily race off pit road against Scott Dixon, who has red stickers on, and Danica beat Franchitti out as well.
Wow, she gained 4 positions, moving up to 3rd spot. How about that?
How do you do that? That's a fast pit stop.
Bob, Danica did not take tires. Her strategist George Klotz told me they did not do that because the ones on her car are just as good as the ones that she would have taken.
Wow, okay. And they're reds.
Good move. Good call.
Yeah, that gives her a considerable amount of track position, and we've said all race how important that is.
As you go around here, just working on fuel.
Nice. Good call.
So that was a good call.
Dario now back to 4th, as Danica Patrick will restart in 3rd position. Still waiting to get Ryan Briscoe's car off of the racetrack.
Now, the other aspect of that pit stop, the reason you wouldn't take tires, she was not on the same sequence as everyone else, so she didn't need as much fuel. So if you're going to have a faster fuel stop, you can save quite a bit of time if you decide not to go for tires. See, they weren't even faking it. They simply knew that all they needed was fuel, and this is going to be just as soon as the moment that they see a little bit in the overflow, and that's going to be quicker, certainly, than the leaders who needed a full load.
So can they go the rest of the way now?
Marty was saying that, which I agree, This is just shy of what they wanted. It all depends on when they go green. Every one of these laps, you're getting 3 times the fuel economy that you're going to get under green. So it depends when they throw it. Every single one of these pace laps gives you that better chance of making it to the end.
So, and you're suggesting that we're going to go green from now on, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a stretch.
So especially the way things have been today, right, Wally? It might be a stretch. But every team manager, every strategist came on the radio as soon as they pitted and said, save me as much fuel as you can. I think everybody just wants to be safe here. I'm pretty sure they can make it, and they're pretty sure they can make it, but they're just not quite 100% positive. That drives these strategists crazy, doesn't it, when they're not quite sure if they can make it all the way.
And if you noticed, I thought Danica had a black on the right front, and when she came in, you could see it was. But the reason why that red is off the right front is when she made contact with Conway.
Yep. Had a shot there of Ryan Briscoe talking with the captain, Roger Penske. Ryan is out of the race due to an incident with Ryan Hunter-Reay. And here it is once again, and this is the reason why we are under caution. This is turn 7, headed down into turn 7.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, that car is just in the air, and in fact, race control has given Ryan Hunter-Reay a penalty, an avoidable contact penalty. So in their opinion, they share our opinion that was avoidable. He forced the issue. Ryan Briscoe tried to stay out of his way, and that curb just shot him.
See how tight that corner is? I mean, it's really, really difficult to get through there with one car, let alone trying to get through there side by side.
So the penalty is going to put him back to 18th position. Talking about Ryan Hunter-Reay, back to 18th position. Marty?
Well, Bob, how well-timed was this caution for Dario Franchitti? Check out the left front tire. That's a piece of Ryan Briscoe's car in there, and you can tell the tire was going flat. That wouldn't have lasted probably 4 or 5 more laps.
Wow.
I wonder where that came from.
Well, that was from the side rubbing that they had on the restart previous.
Yeah.
Remember, because they were on a 2-stop strategy. He's had those tires on for a while. Something right between the tire and the rim. That was very fortunate for Franchitti. When
the contact first happened, Ryan Hunter-Reay said, I thought he was giving me room, and he just turned down. Moments ago, when he was told of the penalty, he said, you've got to be kidding me, and then followed up with, I can't believe this.
That's one of those things, though, you know, you can take both sides of the story. It did at one point, like you said, look like Briscoe was leaving it open.
Yeah.
And Hunter-Reay's like, no, I better not pass there, but oh, he's letting me have it, and he went in there. I mean, that's a really, really tough call.
And I know that when you're driving and all of a sudden that happens, you're absolutely convinced that the person ahead of you just totally chopped you. But when he sees the replay, he'll know that Briscoe, he had a curve on his left side.
Yeah,
he couldn't go anywhere to the left.
And caught up with Ryan Briscoe, and we'll let you watch the replay here in a second. What's your take on what happened?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, Ryan, he's on the red tyre, and he's going quick. I'll give him that much credit, but he's sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong. And I tried to give him room when he went down there, and then, I don't know, it looks like he just jumped the curb and went straight into me, but it's not a passing zone, period. He's going that much quicker. He can wait half a lap and pass me where there's a braking zone. It's just really frustrating because we had a great car today. The Penske truck rental car was going fast. We were just hanging in there, waiting till we got on reds, and I was going to go race the Ganassi guys up front, but I don't know. I mean, they've penalised him. At least they've done something, but it doesn't change how our races ended today.
He seemed dumbfounded by the penalty and said that you came down on him.
Well, that's Hunter-Reay, you know, you're going to get that, but it was his fault. It wasn't a passing zone, and he drove straight into me, and it's just really frustrating.
Great race today.
Thanks.
Bob?
He finished 18th at St. Petersburg, and Ryan Briscoe is going to get a 21st place finish here this weekend. That field lines up 2 by 2 once again, coming off the final corner. And another restart. The green flag is waving. Into turn number 1 they come. Power gets the advantage.
Hey, Power's been perfect on the restarts. Got to give him that. And he's had to do a bunch of them today.
But he's been perfect except for one thing. He changed lanes there.
he changed lanes when he was on the inside, and they were talked specifically about on double file restarts that you can't change lanes. So they may be looking at that. Danica's dropping back.
Oh, there goes. Is that Serbia down there on the bottom?
Yep.
And Serbia is going to get by Danica Patrick.
Good move. Nice move. Oh, sideways. Somebody was sideways back there.
Oh, it's Justin Wilson.
I think Wilson may have gotten collected in that.
This will mean another full course caution. The problem today hasn't been in turns 1 and 2. It's been in turns 3, 4, 5, and 6.
It's been when they're spread out already.
Yeah.
The Macho safety team has been busy today.
There is no full course caution.
They're going to hurry.
Not yet. Yeah, they've got some work to do to get that car off the racetrack. It's yellow, of course, in that spot, but not elsewhere. So we stay green. Good. And Dixon is that many car lengths behind the leader, Will Power. Scott Dixon running second. Dario still third. Fourth is Marco Andretti. We saw Serbia pass Danica Patrick for 5th position. Castro Neves, Mira, Canale, Silvestro, and now
I'm not sure that wasn't. It may have been Matos that I saw that was sideways right before whatever happened with Justin Wilson. I think Justin might be maybe a little bit relieved. I know nobody wants a tore-up race car, but when you're hurting.
Yeah, let's hope they didn't hurt it anymore.
Yeah.
Ollie?
Yes, sir.
His brace broke, so I guarantee he's happy he's out of this thing.
Yeah.
Here, somebody right in the bottom here. Oh, he got contact. He did get hit by Justin.
Oh, yeah.
Sure enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Justin, it looks like he just got into him just a little bit. Yeah, just touched his left rear and turned him actually into himself.
Now let's watch the restart. On board with Dario Franchitti. That's Danica to his left. Dario got the jump on her, and then as they headed down, ooh, there's Marco Andretti.
On the outside.
Yeah.
Kind of got up there. Very slippery out there.
Now here is where Serbia passed her in turn 5.
She has the disadvantage of the fact that she didn't change tires, and those around her did. So they had apparently a bit more grip.
The damaged car of Justin Wilson is on the hook. And he is going to be out of competition. That's going to leave us, I believe, 19 cars in this event here at Barber Motorsports Park. 22 laps to go. Danica Patrick gained several spots on her pit stop and did not take tires, and now she came out in 3rd position. Now she's back to 6th.
And to my point, John, that she's probably on the set of reds that are older than most out there. And that's why she's lost so many positions already on the restarts.
Being the only one who didn't take tires, yes, by definition, she's got a lot more life on her. Or running on.
Simone Pagenaud, we haven't talked very much about him this week. He is subbing for Anna Beatrice, who did break her wrist at St. Petersburg, but Simone is in the Dreyer and Reinbold car this weekend for her.
He's done a fantastic job.
Hey guys, real quick, just real quick, fuel should not be an issue. Both Scott Dixon and Will Power have been told go as hard as you need to go because of this caution. It's now put everybody definitely to the good, so you'll see these guys race for their life.
And of course, Simone Pagenaud is doing his very first IndyCar event here, and he was very conservative coming in, but he's got a lot of racing experience. He is a fast kid, and he's learned a lot. He may turn racy here now that he's got some laps under his belt.
The reigning ALMS champion, Simone Pagenaud. 2x2 they come once again. Off of the final corner. Power. Dixon, side by side, green out.
Wow, Dixon's there. If Dixon can, oh, he just, Will Power just got in there a little bit better. Whoa!
Oh. Vitor Mira keeps it together.
Nice save.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get through 5 here.
Yeah, 5 is the problem, it seems. Here it is. That's Pagenaud on the outside. Feeling racy again in the number 5 car. On board with Tony Kanaan. He is up to 7th spot.
Oh, and the police catching up to Danica Patrick. Robin was talking about needs some hate. We know that
there you have it.
They've had a couple issues when they were teammates. Now they're not. Oh, Danica's car is pushing.
Yes.
Understeer. Front is not turning. Three ways of saying the same thing. And she's had that trouble all weekend. And boy, it just wasn't turning. You could see that clearly from Kanaan's onboard.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of time right now, just because of the tire situation.
Let's take a look at the restart of Tony Kanaan.
Captain Evans right there in front of him.
Around the outside.
That's just a tough pass right here. Look at that. Look at him working that steering wheel.
Yeah.
That's earning a position right there.
And that was good, respectful driving by his countryman there, Castro Neves. They were teammates back in the Indy Lights days. They have a lot of respect for each other. That was some good, hard racing.
Tony Kanaan didn't have a ride until just a few days before the season opener at St. Petersburg. We're talking about how drivers need to get to know their crew members. I understand that he asked his crew members to wear name tags. The first idea. Shout to just make sure that he knew everybody's name.
I asked you guys to do that too last week.
Busy in there, isn't he?
Now Danica has only 5 overtake pushes left. Kanaan has 9, so he has a slight advantage there.
Oh yeah, she's again. I mean, she's been doing it all day. She's been getting away with it, locking that right front up.
Conway out of competition here this afternoon in a hard crash, Kevin.
Mike, that was a hard hit. How are you?
Yeah, okay. Banged a little bit initially, but we're fine.
Contact with your teammate, Danica Patrick? What happened?
Just coming over the top of the hill, just in front of the car, just got light and just went straight on. And I think I just crossed her path and we just contacted, unfortunately, and yeah, just put me out of the race. So I think just my fault, just a bit too close to the cars ahead and just washed out. So
after a good qualifying effort at St. Pete, it's a 23rd and a 22nd place finish to start the season for Mike Conway, Bob.
There will be better days for Mike Conway, that's for sure. Well, so far, Will Power has led every lap of this race. When was the last time a driver led flag to flag? Well, it was at Sonoma in 2009, and the guy who led wire to wire, Dario Franchitti. The battle up front here at Barber Motorsports Park gets closer and closer. Dario Franchitti is in second position, giving Will Power all he can. They are separated by just a couple of car lengths. Third is Franchitti, then Andretti, Serbia, and Tony Kanaan has moved up to sixth position. He was able to pass Danica Patrick for that position. So move Danica back to seventh, and here is how Tony Kanaan got the position from Danica Patrick. In turn 5.
Been locking those tires up, and that cost her the spot right there. That time she didn't get away with it. Locked it up, the car quit turning. Watch here from Tony's point of view. Locked up. When they lock up, they go straight. The only way you can get the car to turn again is to get off the brake.
So Danica back to 7th. Castro Neves is 8th. Pagano right behind Helio. Then comes Simona Di Silvestro, who continues to run in the top 10 in that green and white car.
I think Danica's gotten all she could get out of that set of tires right there, and everybody behind her has a lot better tires on. She's actually probably holding up a bunch of these guys.
Oh, here comes Pagano. That's a side-by-side. Oh, he thought better. That's the same place we saw the contact between Hunter Ray and Briscoe, and he thought better of it in his first IndyCar race, so good on it. Way to go, Pagano.
And you can really see that wing now on Castro Neves' car. Really tilted in. I don't know how much that's really affecting the downforce here, but when you're a driver, you need every excuse you can get. I think Castro Neves, it's coming right here. She's having a hard time keeping that car. Like Jan pointed out earlier, I think she's got a big push in that car. That car is just not turning as well as it was.
They're on the front stretch. There's Pagano pulling to the inside of Elio. Pagano, by the way, finished, let's see, 8th in Champ Car points in 07. So he is an experienced race driver.
Take a look here. He is. Will he finish it off?
Yep.
And he will.
He will.
She may lose a couple spots on this one.
Pagano right there also.
Oh, now this is going to be the same situation we had earlier with Briscoe and Ryan Hunter, and Danica backed off.
Yep.
Yeah, when I say first IndyCar race, obviously, yes, but because these cars are quite a bit different for a feel than other series open wheel cars, and so he's doing a fantastic job with his first go with this particular Delara Jackson.
Won the Champ Car Atlantic title with Walker Racing in 2006. Now Simona Di Silvestro will try to take a shot at Danica. Here's turn 17. The front stretch.
Working 13 laps. I think where Danica's really having trouble is this next set of corners. Not turn 1 so much, but up and over the hill and turn. This section right here is where it seems like her car is pushing. She doesn't have the grip in the front. See how the car slides out a little bit? Ooh, contact there.
Little love tap. Hello.
Wow.
Oh, Simona is going to take the spot.
And here comes Kimball.
Oh, contact.
And Sato once again is sideways.
Contact with Sebastian Bourdais there in the 19 car.
Charlie Kimball having a good run in that orange, green, and white car. He's in the top 10. He's the driver that we told you about, moving from Firestone Indy Lights, the diabetic. Boy, having a great race this afternoon. He admitted to a rookie mistake at St. Petersburg, crashing, coming out of the pits on cold tires, but he's proving his worth here this afternoon. Charlie Kimball running in 10th spot. As far as the front of the field is concerned, it's still Will Power leading Scott Dixon with 13 laps to go at Barber. Versus welcomes you back to live coverage of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park. And Danica Patrick now under fire from Vitor Meira.
Back when Danica started to lose those spots, she actually radioed in and apologized to her team for slipping back, and they said, don't worry about it, you've come back up before, you can do it this time. Well, just a lap ago, they told her, Danica, just do the best you can at this point.
She's dropped back to 12th position, Meira right behind her. J.R. Hildebrand, then Ryan Hunter-Reay, Takuma Sato, and Graham Rahal. And now we'll see if Meira can make the pass. He does into turn number 1.
Do what you can, do what you can.
Meira to 12th.
I think he just continue to lose these spots right here. Just doesn't have the grip of the car she had earlier.
Now here comes Hildebrand. Let's see if Ryan Hunter-Reay can also sneak through. Not this time. Not at that corner. National Guard car driven by J.R. Hildebrand in 14th spot.
He's not going to try in the same place, is he?
He did.
Oh.
He got away with it this time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little bit of teammate love there.
Here comes Sato. Just 10 laps to go.
See, when you lose grip and you lose momentum, it's a tough day at the office.
But it just still shows how difficult it is to get around somebody, even when you're faster at this place. You really have to, it takes 2 or 3 corners to set somebody up to get to one of those spots that you can pass like turn 5.
We're keeping a close eye on things up front, and it is much the same. In fact, it's now up to almost a full second lead.
Yeah, Scott was pulling some laps off there that were quicker than Will Power, the leader, but Will Power has turned the wick up.
There's Dario in third, the 4th place car, and kudos to Marco Andretti having a great run. Kevin?
Marco Andretti is in position for his 2nd straight top 5 in 2 tries here at Barber Motorsports Park. Michael Andretti just told him moments ago, you've still got 10 overtakes left.
There's Michael, his dad.
Who is calling his pit strategy this year. They had another shift in the team of personnel, so he's back making those calls with Marco.
There's 1st and 2nd. Separated by 9/10 of a second. Marty?
Yeah, Bob, Will Power has led every lap today, but it has not been quite so easy for him. He's had to survive several restarts, and if he does win, he'll win with that man making the calls today. John Erickson, a familiar face in the Penske camp. That's the case because Clive Howell, his normal strategist, had to go back home for a family situation. Erickson was working in his garage yesterday, restoring his 34 Ford, when Tim Cindric called and said, hey, can you come call a race here at Barber? He said, sure, why not? Drove down last night. Now, I've known Erickson about 15 years, and Wally, the operative word that I have a problem with, that he was actually working on that 34 Ford.
I've known
but
John Erickson.
He swears that he's restoring it all by himself in his garage about 6 months into the project with about a year and a half.
I'm with you on that, Marty. I've known John a long time, and I think he's delegating the work maybe being done. Well, I'm not sure he's doing it himself, but he swears he is.
Here is Tony Kanaan trying to get the position from Oriol Serbia on board with Tony Kanaan. Boy, he doesn't let poor qualifying performances hold him back in the race. Oh, I thought he was going to maybe get a chance to get under Oriol.
Not quite close enough to try to make an outbreaking pass here, but he's trying everything he can to get himself in a position so where he can try to dive underneath him under braking.
In a way, it actually worked in Serbia's favor that he got a little bit, lost that momentum at the one spot that Kanaan would have been setting him up for a pass in turn number 5. It wasn't on purpose, but it definitely helped out Serbia.
car today than anyone, like 3 or 4 times. Backed him up.
Yeah,
the same car.
We keep track of positions, and he's definitely leading that one in the clubhouse with plus 18, but he's passed those 18 probably more than once.
There are 5 different teams represented in the first 6 positions. Penske, Ganassi has 2, Andretti Autosport, Newman Haas, and KB Racing Technologies.
This is where Tony's got to stay as close as possible in order to try to now braking maneuver here going down into turn 5, and he's almost there. Maybe he gets off that corner pretty well.
Thinking about it. No.
It looks like Serbia is just getting a little bit more grip coming off the corners than Tony is right now. It's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah. Behind Kanan.
Yeah, he's making a little bit of ground up.
And Pageant. Is that Anna Beatrice might be back for Long Beach. We'll have to wait and see next Sunday. But Pagano doing a great job of filling in for her this weekend. There's Simona Di Stovestro, Charlie Kimball, and here is Sebastian Bourdais. 4 consecutive championships in Champ Car racing. Tried Formula One. Great to have him back in the Eyes on IndyCar series, driving for Dale Coyne.
A nice long chat with him this morning, and whoa, a big wiggle for him coming up into turn number 2. And he said that Dale Coyne has hired some great people to try to upgrade and work with his engineering department, but they had changes at the last minute, and they don't really have a database to work with. They're still coming to these racetracks kind of starting from scratch. And Sebastian is hopeful, for growth, but at the moment, earlier in the weekend, he was really saying we are really struggling.
Well, she finally had enough of that set of tires. I can't blame her.
Sometimes not taking tires to get the track position works, and then this is a great example of not taking tires. You only briefly had that position, and you have to give up so many more along the way.
Yeah, if you would have got the cautions when she needed it, probably would have helped her out a lot. But
hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So it made for some exciting racing, that's for sure.
Interval up to more than a second now.
He's not really getting any closer. And he's been using a lot more push to pass than what Power has.
Yes, in fact, Power has 14 left of the 20, and Scott only has 7.
Falling back a little bit into this group. These guys, Serbia and Kanan and all these guys have, just a few minutes ago we showed Marco and there was nobody around him.
Pretty big gap. Which bodes well, obviously, if you're Oriole Serbia, you're like, aha, yeah, I've got something to work on here.
Well, Serbia's last lap was about it was a little bit quicker. They're jumping around quite a bit. They've got a half a second. But these guys have made some ground on Marco.
Four to go.
And Marco's using his overtake defensively right now, used it on that straightaway to try and keep that gap alive. It's not always for overtaking, sometimes it's to prevent it. Kanan was on the button there as well, but of course, you know who else was? Serbia.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Now it's the time to use them up.
Yeah.
We only got 4 laps to go. You can't take them with you to next week, right?
No.
You don't use them.
It would be nice, like if they were cell phone minutes. That would be a good idea. If you could get rollover, push to pass, that'd be quite cool. We should suggest that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Power would be in good shape going into Long Beach then.
These 5 cars running very close to each other. Andretti 4th, Serbia 5th, Canan 6th, Castroneva 7th, and Pagenaud 8th.
So does somebody in this group try something wild?
Well, I think, obviously, if you can get close enough to somebody, you've got to, it's almost a Hail Mary time.
3 to go, 3 to go, keep digging.
And it's not like they haven't been trying. You know, obviously, you can watch Tony's in-car camera, and he's had that wheel left, right, you know, even on the straightaways. So he's trying to get close the gap on Serbia. But these guys are so evenly matched right now.
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, he locked it up.
Oh, can he hang on?
This is going to be it. Tony will get underneath him.
Oh, cannot do it. Or can he?
But don't go side by side up here. This is
one of those places you just don't do it.
This is where we
this
have.
is not good.
Yeah.
There we go.
But at least you're worrying him. You know, obviously Serbia's got a mirror full now.
Yeah.
And once you have smoke pouring off the front tires, that builds a flat spot, and that stays there. Next time you try to brake hard, it wants to stop in that exact same location. So Tony will log that and say, right, I need to try that one more time into turn 5.
And like I said, what you're trying to do is you're trying to worry the guy. That's what Tony just did to Serbia. Serbia went in there a little bit deeper than he's probably been going all day long because he knows Canan is on the attack. And there's a fine line of where how far you can drive in with one of these race cars and, you know, have the grip under braking or lock up a tire under braking. I think now Prix can get off this corner pretty good. He's in position now to try to make a out-braking maneuver.
Just can't do it. Oh, Takuma Sato has to come in for a quick splash of fuel. And there is Will Power, who is headed for the white flag. What a drive he has had this afternoon. Will Power with one more tour of the 2.3-mile course here at Barber Motorsports Park, and his advantage on Scott Dixon is now up to almost 3 seconds.
Last lap.
Uncontested at the moment. Nobody in front, nobody close behind. Just a Sunday afternoon drive for Will Power. From Toowoomba, Australia. Last week it was Dario Franchitti in victory lane. This week it's going to be Will Power. Those two drivers fighting for the title all season long last year. Looks like we may be set up for the same scenario this year. But today, on a Sunday afternoon at Barber Motorsports Park, it is Will Power who takes his first step on the 2011 Road to Glory as he wins the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Will Power goes to victory lane as the double checkers fly. Here's Dario Franchitti. Make that Scott Dixon finishing second. Franchitti is going to finish in third position, but let's go back and check out this battle now as we watch Tony Kanaan and Oriol Serbia still going at it. And here they are. They're going to finish in that order. Serbia finishes 5th, Kanaan 6th, Castroneva 7th, Pagenaud 8th, Di Silvestro gets a 9th finish, and Charlie Kimball gets a 10th. But what a Sunday afternoon drive for Will Power. An impressive performance by the Team Penske driver.
Yeah, and he earned it. You know, it sounds like a Sunday afternoon drive, but I don't know how many restarts we had today, but it seemed like about 10 or 12. And he had to defend that position every time, and he got perfect restarts each time.
It's Will Power's 10th career win, his first of this season. He now has wins in 5 consecutive seasons, his first win here at Barber. Kevin?
Well, John Erickson was at home yesterday, got the call. He's worked with Penske for many years, and he's back on the stand. He's worked with Will Power as well, and he helps him get to victory lane. It's good to be back with Team Penske. This works out well.
Big fun. Well, I'm just filling in for Clive. And first off, we want to send our best to Mary and Clive both. Hope all goes well tomorrow.
Tell me about what got this done today. You've obviously worked with him before. How much did that help?
Yeah, the driver did it. The pit crew had great stops all day long. The engineers did a good job on the fuel mileage and keeping Will sorted out on what he needed to do. All good. Everybody did everything we needed to do.
All right, congratulations. Enjoy this one. Bob?
All right, 11 different teams represented in the top 13 positions in this race here this afternoon. We had 2 Penske cars and 2 Ganassi cars in the top 13. Will Power pulls into victory lane, and we'll be here to talk with him when we return to our IZOD IndyCar coverage on Versus.
Will Power, the man in victory lane here in Birmingham. He pulls in wire to wire today for Mr. Power. A very impressive performance. We'll get him out of the race car here in just a second and get his congratulations from the crowd here in victory lane at Barber. Come on down here, Mr. Power. That was very impressive. Well, the stats will show that you led every lap today, but how tough were some of those restarts against Scott Dixon?
Yeah, I mean, the key was just to make sure I got the jump on him every time. I knew if I had the inside into one, it wouldn't be a problem, but man, yeah, I mean, it was just yellow after yellow after yellow. But man, it was one of the most relaxing races I've ever had. You know, I was just really cruising, pushing very hard at the end. But man, for Verizon, Maya, Coke, IZOD, Shell, and thank the fans for such an awesome day, and very happy to get the Verizon 12 car up there. Awesome day.
Were you aware that Scott wasn't very happy with one of those restarts? Was that relayed to you?
I know he came up beside me and did something. I was like, what, dude? I mean, what was I doing wrong? I was just starting. I was maintaining speed, and I don't know what he was complaining about.
Well, you are the leader of the race. After trying to get vengeance for losing the championship last year, a performance like this, wire to wire, what statement does that make about your race team?
Man, I mean, it's the second year we've all been together, and we're just more solid. And I'm going to be a lot better on ovals, and I'm very determined. I want to win this championship.
Told me he needed max points at these road courses. He did that today, leading every lap. First man in a year and a half to lead every lap at an event. He wins today, Bob.
Yeah, Will Power, a impressive performance, but so was the impressive performance by the members of the team. And there they are, led by John Erickson, who called the shots on the headset today to Will Power, winner here at Barber Motorsports Park. And there's the other members of the team who did a great job. Let's get down to Lindy Thaxton.
Scott Dixon, who finished second. Scott, Will Power just said he doesn't know why you were so upset about that restart.
About all the restarts. You know, we were told in the driver's meeting that the left lane has to be left of the center line. He was in the right of the center line. You know, I was pretty much on the grass in some of those restarts. So, you know, I can understand why he was doing it. He was trying to keep on the clean side of the track, but you can't have the inside and the clean side of the track. It's not how it works. But you know, in the end, I'm not sure we had enough. You know, we definitely tried, and I burnt the tyres off towards the end of that stint. We definitely had speed for about 15 or 20 laps, but we came up short with the target team today, but still a good result, especially with Dario coming through in the Clorox car. Obviously, that was a hell of a run from 7th to 3rd.
You were using more push to passes than Will. You just didn't have it in the car.
No, I was just trying it to see if we could eventually try and catch up, and you know, I think he just had a better balance and better speed on older tyres, and you know, with the last sort of 3 or 4, I really had to ease it back because, you know, the car was getting really loose.
Scott Dixon also finished second here last year, Bob.
Yeah, but coming back from a poor finish at St. Petersburg, and a nice job in second position here at Barber Motorsports Park. There's victory lane from the overhead view. Will Power taking the checkered flag, winning here at Barber. Back in a moment. Back at Barber Motorsports Park, Will Power wins on the racetrack, and the crew did their job keeping Will Power on pit lane a total of 55.775 seconds. There are Firestone pit performers for the day. Lindy Thaxton is with Dario Franchitti.
Dario, just finishing up chatting with Chip Ganassi. The first 2 stints of yours seem pretty good. What about the third?
Yeah, the third, I don't think our balance was maybe as good as Scott and Will over the long run, so I was abusing the tires a bit more. So I tried to drive the car within the tire, and my lap times were getting slower as a result of that. But to go from 7th to 4th was third. I keep saying 4th. 7th to 3rd today was a pretty good result for the Target team. It's tough to pass here, but we made some stuff happen on the restarts, and also going a couple of 3 laps longer than some of the other guys.
Overall better than St. Pete with the restarts.
Yeah, well, everybody behaved themselves a bit more. It was I didn't manage to take the lead in the restart today, so I'm not quite as happy, but not a bad day.
What happened with you and Briscoe with the restart?
Yeah, that got pretty interesting. I was on the outside, and Ryan, I was on his outside, and he just drove me onto the grass there. So I sat really close behind him going into 2. He opened up the door. I put about half the car in there as he went wide, and then he just closed the door. I think he just misjudged it. You know, we were racing hard there, and we touched, and he kind of half spun, and I kept going.
Dario Franchitti finishes 3rd. Kevin?
The Hard Charger Award goes to Tony Kanaan from 24th to 6th. But let's talk about the beginning from 24th to 14th in less than a lap.
Lost a bet. I promised my guys 13 cars, so it was a great start. I think, I can't thank the team. I mean, the whole, I haven't seen it, so it was pretty exciting. Just timed myself pretty good. Got lucky as well. So the whole Geico crew. I mean, I got to thank the boys. I drove my heart out, and it's a new team still. I don't want to make any excuses, but we're still getting to know each other. And great race. I mean, top 6 is not bad for us. We have a lot of work to do. I'm still not happy with the car. I was not pleased with the setup that I had. I got to thank Takuma and his engineer Garrett that gave me a setup for the race. I driven this car in the race. It was Taco's setup, and I hadn't been driving this car all weekend long, so it was all new to me. I had to figure out. So thanks to them, we had a great result.
It's certainly been challenging joining a new team. It was a challenging winter. You were reminded during the race that, well, at least this beats going to a boardroom every day, which is how you spent the winter trying to find sponsorship and a ride.
Every day on the racetrack is a good day. I can't forget that, and I thank God every day that they gave me the opportunity in the last minute. I mean, even if I was that last, obviously I'm very competitive. I was not going to be enjoying, but this is where I want to be. And the last 7 months, I was dying to be here, so it's a good effort.
Good start to the season. 3rd and 6th for Tony Kanaan.
Great job by Tony Kanaan here this afternoon. Here are the points after 2 races in 2011. Will Power has a 7-point advantage on Dario. With Kanaan up to 3rd, Scott Dixon gains 12 positions, and Simona Di Silvestro stays in 5th position, in fact tied with Scott Dixon. The podium here at Barber Motorsports Park. Power the winner.
Welcome back to the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. The race is owner. Will Power has won. Scott Dixon 2nd, Dario Franchitti 3rd. I am here with the 4th place finisher, Marco Andretti. You changed quick.
Yeah, no, I think, it was an overall good day. I think, we took advantage of some of the restarts. And, the name of the game with these restarts are just staying unscathed, and we were able to do that today and actually come out on the positive today. So, we got to be happy to salvage 4th after a weekend like that. But I had nothing for the red cars at the end of the race. We're just lacking grip.
Nice to get through the first turn like that, though, huh?
Yeah, without being on my head for once, man. But no, I think it's a good result for the Venom crew. Now we can go to work on. I'm going to work really hard on being a pain in the butt to them every single weekend. So we'll see.
Marco Andretti finishing 4th. Marty?
What a wonderful run for Oriol Servia. And I know you were laughing with TK there when you got out of the car. How much fun was it to race with him there at the end?
It's fun. We've been racing for many years. It's always fun. It's a tough competitor, but he's clean. And I knew I had to do my job, and he was going to take any opportunity I would give him, but he was not going to do anything stupid. So I just had to focus. I had a good car. We had a good car all weekend, and I'm happy for the team. It shows that it pays off. All the work they did in the winter, it's great for Telemundo. Actually, we just got a text from the sponsor that they were very happy with our performance. That always helps. So we're very happy. It's only the 2nd race, but we're making big improvements every weekend.
He told me this is a huge jump from St. Pete. I cannot wait for Long Beach, Kevin.
Helio Castroneves comes home 7th. Could have been a lot worse. Safe to say we can call this adventuresome.
Absolutely, you actually nailed on. It was one of those things that I still trying to figure out this double file restart. I got in the beginning great. On the outside it was great, but then on the inside it was a little bit tough. we're happy that we had the AAA insurance car finish in the top 10. Not happy that we want to be in the front, but congrats to Will, and hopefully Clive, your personal life is better now. Definitely John Erickson stepping in was great, but we are like a family, so we hope everything's fine with him.
All right, thanks, Elio. Bob, back up to you.
Yeah, we'll look at the final results here this afternoon of the second race of the year. And Wally, what were your impressions of this event?
I had a blast. I love watching this racing, and you guys let me, I'll come back next week. But no, really exciting.
And some of the storylines we talked about played out pretty well. Dario Franchitti moving up. We thought they'd play the strategy, and that worked out well. Tony Kanaan, you know, we said he's starting 24th. Maybe he'll come forward, but to 6th?
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty awesome. And then you see those rookies there. You see Simone Pagenaud, great job for Kimball as well.
There were 16 cars on the lead lap when the checkered flag fell. Danica Patrick lost a lap and there in the late going when she had to come in for the tire change. Graham Rahal finished 2 laps down, and then everybody else didn't finish, many of them because of incidents on the racetrack. But overall, a great day, especially for Will Power, who led from start to finish in this event here at Barber Motorsports Park.
You got to say, though, hard luck guy, Ryan Briscoe. 2 races in a row, gets knocked out with very few points.
We'll see how things go next week.